November the 3rd, 2025. Welcome back to the Two Witnesses Live. It's that time once again for your daily Torment reports. And boy, do we have a lot to catch up on. It's been 4 days since we last covered those things which are tormenting the world. So we're going to jump right into this because we've got 4 days of ground to cover and a lot of other things that we could cover. It's probably going to be a long night. Let's jump into this. All right, let's see. So we're going to start with Donald Trump, and we're going back. I think this is where we left off. I could be wrong. I think we saw this. These things were unimportant. These were articles he had reposted. And that puts us about here. So because of the fact that the Democrats have gone stone cold crazy, the choice is clear. Initiate the nuclear option, get rid of the filibuster, and make America great again. So I can't remember if we talked about this. I don't think we did, but I'm sure everybody's aware of this. A lot of this information you're probably aware of, but we're going to go through it. We're going to go through it pretty quick, especially today. He's been posting a lot about different Republicans in areas because voting ends tomorrow in a lot of these states. So if you're in one of these states, it might be worth it. I don't know if we're going to read them all because there's a lot. I mean, there's like 50 of them. So we'll see when we get there. Maybe we'll just read the names. I don't think we will. Let me know if you guys want me to when we get to that point. All right. Well, let's continue on. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. I see you guys now showing up in chat. That's fantastic. All right. So I think we read this one. I just got back from Asia where I met the leaders of many countries, including China, Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Singapore, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and others. It was a great honor to meet them, but more particularly to see that America is respected again. Respected like never before. Great trade deals were made, long-term relationships now exist, and money is pouring into our country because of tariffs and, frankly, the landslide result of the 2024 presidential election. The one question that kept coming up, however, was how did the Democrats shut down the United States of America, and why did the powerful Republicans allow them to do it? The fact is, and flying back, I thought a great deal about that question. Why? I guess we didn't read this. This is new to me. Okay, let's get into this. Why? Majority Leader John Thune and Speaker of the House Mike Johnson are doing a great job. But the Democrats are crazy lunatics that have lost all sense of wisdom and reality. It is a sick form of the now legendary Trump derangement syndrome that only comes from losing too much. They want trillions of dollars to be taken from our healthcare system and given to others who are not deserving. People who have come into our country illegally. Many from prisons and mental institutions. This will hurt American citizens, and Republicans will not let it happen. It is now time for the Republicans to play their Trump card. Ba-dum-bump. And go for what is called the nuclear option. Get rid of the filibuster and get rid of it now. Just a short while ago, the Democrats, while in power, fought for 3 years to do this, but were unable to pull it off because of Senators Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona. Never have the Democrats fought so hard to do something because they knew the tremendous strength that terminating the filibuster would give them. They want to substantially expand, pack, the United States Supreme Court, make Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico state, thereby automatically picking up 4 Senate seats, many House seats, and at least 8 electoral votes, and many other highly destructive things. Well, now we are in power, and if we did what we should be doing, it would immediately end this ridiculous country-destroying shutdown. If the Democrats ever came back into power, which would be made easier for them if the Republicans are not using the great strength and policies made available to us by ending the filibuster. The Democrats will exercise their rights, and it will be done in the first day they take office, regardless of whether or not we do it. In addition to all of the other things we would get, such as the best judges, the best U.S. attorneys, the best of everything, this was a concept from many years ago, and then President Barack Hussein Obama and former Majority Leader Harry Reid in order to take advantage of the Republicans. Now I want to do it in order to take advantage of the Democrats. Well, at least he's honest. I think they should do it. What do you guys think? You think he should do it? I think he should do it. We're in the final stretch. I'm thinking that now, if we're going to do it, now's the time. Isaiah 19 may have partially been fulfilled with the Arab Spring, but what about the rest? Could Enoch 1 explain the rest? Oh man, I've got so much to share with you guys in regards to stuff that I've been studying and fulfillments. I'm more convinced now that we're on the right timeline for the way things are happening. We'll see if we have time. We've got so much to get through today. We'll see. All right. Oh, remind me if we have time, which I don't think we will, either today or tomorrow. I want to revisit that question about could Donald Trump be the restrainer? Somebody, I believe the person who asked the question in the first place, gave further background into their question in a comment, and I'd like to read that and go through their comment because from the perspective that they presented it, I can see why they would ask that question, and I think it's worth noting. So if I don't get to it, remind me to get to that sometime. All right, the G2 will be convening shortly. Worked really hard, 24/7, took in trillions of dollars, and Chuck Schumer said trip was a total dud. Oh, I remember this. Oh, it's out of order. Even though he knows it was a spectacular success, words like that are almost treasonous. I think we read this. I had a truly great meeting with President Xi of China. There is enormous respect between our two countries. Well, let's see. And that will only be enhanced with what just took place. We agreed on many things, with others even of high importance being very close to resolved. I was extremely honored by the fact that President Xi authorized China to begin to purchase massive amounts of soybean. Yeah, we did read this one. This one, you guys heard this one. In the effort of time. What the heck just happened? Did we go backwards? Join the Air Force, disaster, China, this. All right, I don't think we've seen this yet. Oh, this is just a cute little Halloween montage they did. Adorable. All right, this is just another montage. Beautiful. You know, these montages say so much. He definitely has an appreciation for beauty. I appreciate that about Donald Trump. Speaking of beauty, renovated the Lincoln bathroom in the White House. That looks beautiful. There's a lot of these, so we're just going to skip them. There you go. All right. Let's see. I just inspected the construction on the Kennedy Center. It is looking really good. The exterior columns, which were in serious danger of corrosion if something weren't done, are completed and look magnificent in white enamel, like a different place. Marble is being done, stages are being renovated, new seats, new chairs, and new fabrics will soon be installed, and the magnificent high end carpeting throughout the building. It is happening faster than anticipated, one of my trademarks. My people are doing a really great job. We are bringing this building back to life. It was dead as a doornail, but it will soon be beautiful again. Sensing a theme there. Make the Kennedy Center beautiful again. I just love that he is a builder. You know, I mean, there's definitely a correlation between Yeshua, who was also a builder. I don't think we really place enough emphasis on that and realize that about Yeshua is, you know, he lived, 33 years. And during that time, he went to synagogue as a child. He learned all about the Torah. But he would have also learned the craft of building. He made chairs, he made tables. It wouldn't surprise me if he didn't make buildings. You know what I mean? Like build houses. Um, all that stuff would have been needed. And I love the fact that Donald Trump is also a builder. I think it's just that capstone on where we are in these end times. I have to giggle now every time I read, in the book of where it says, "At the last trump, the dead will be raised." It might actually be the last Trump administration where the dead in Christ are raised. All right, let's keep going. I'm excited about this. So, Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Thousands of Christians are being killed. I'm not excited about that part, but the fact that he's doing something about it. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern. But that is the least of it. When Christians or any such group is slaughtered like this is happening in Nigeria, 3,100 versus 4,476 worldwide, something must be done. I am asking Congressman Riley Moore, together with Chairman Tom Cole and the House Appropriations Committee, to immediately look into this matter and report back to me. The United States cannot stand while such atrocities are happening in Nigeria and numerous other countries. We stand ready, willing, and able to save our great Christian population around the world. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. So I think that's good. We had just talked about that, I thought, recently. If we didn't talk about it, it came up in a video that I watched where there was an interview recently about the atrocities that are taking place in Nigeria. Maybe he saw that video and it got his attention. I think that's freaking awesome. All right, where are we? This one. Okay, so here we are. Our government lawyers do not think we have the legal authority to pay SNAP with certain monies we have available. And now 2 courts have issued conflicting opinions on what we can and cannot do. I do not want Americans to go hungry just because the radical Democrats refuse to do the right thing and reopen the government. Therefore, I have instructed our lawyers to ask the court to clarify how we can legally fund SNAP as soon as possible. It is already delayed due to the Democrats keeping the government closed through the monthly payment date, and even if we get immediate guidance, it will unfortunately be delayed while states get the money out. If we are given the appropriate legal direction by the court, it will be my honor to provide the funding, just like I did with the military and law enforcement pay. Feels like we read this. The Democrats should quit this charade where they hurt people for their own political reasons and immediately reopen the government. If you use SNAP benefits, call the Senate Democrats and tell them to reopen the government now. Here's crying Chuck Schumer's office number, 202-224-6542. Yeah. Where did this one come from? How did we jump down to 2 days? You know what it is? I think that it reposts the same post twice sometimes. And then the way HTML works, it doesn't know which tag to jump to. Yeah, so we were on this one. They posted some photos from the memorial service. Erica Kirk. Very sweet. All right. Criminal organizations in Mexico have begun offering thousands of dollars for the murder of federal law enforcement, with payouts escalating based on rank and action taken. This is terrible. $2,000 for gathering intelligence or doxing agents, including photos and family details. This gives you insight into how these organizations work. 5 to 10,000 for kidnapping or non-lethal assault on standard ICE and CBP officers. Up to $50,000 for the assassination of high-ranking officials. Terrible. Utterly terrible. Our IceGov officers are facing more than 1,000% increase in assaults against them. Under President Trump and Secretary Noem, every criminal, terrorist, and illegal alien will face American justice. He's got the enemy running scared, that's for sure. What is this? New York fugitive grandniece who assaulted cops lived in Tish James' fraud home to roost. Okay. This is terrible. Breaking D.C. Judge Kendra Briggs has allowed the 2 teens who jumped Edward, Big Balls, Corriston to avoid jail and sentenced them to simple probation, stating her job is to rehabilitate, not punish. Seriously? You know, I found out recently that there's no requirements for somebody to be a judge when they're voted into the office. They don't have to go to law school. They don't have to have credentials. I don't know if that's true in every single state, but I was shocked to find out that that's the case. I think that was from the Elon Musk interview that we may or may not get to. Shocking. Yeah. What is this?
By the way, you won Georgia 3 times.
I agree. Do you agree with me?
I do.
He's the media.
For someone that spends a lot of time in Georgia, I believe you won that. Okay. I really have a question about
the word believe isn't strong enough, right?
Yeah,
you know.
There you go.
It's true. I know I won too.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. She should go back. She says, so this is her saying Somalia is our home, calling this dude back here, her president.
caawa aan fursad u helay madaxweynaha Soomaaliya
I don't know what she's saying. Somalia is our home. It is our heart. We always think about Somalia. She should go back. So his response is she should go back home. Ha 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 ha. All right, what is this? Just in, D.C. is fighting off bounties being placed on ICE agents' heads in Chicago and massive encouragement of violence from Democrats. Narco-terrorists in Mexico are reportedly working in coordination with domestic extremist groups to provide bounties worth thousands of dollars on the heads of federal immigration.
As we approach it, breaking right now, as we just mentioned, narco-terrorists in Mexico are reportedly working in coordination with domestic extremist groups to place bounties worth thousands of dollars on the heads of federal immigration officers in Chicago. That is according to DHS, who are now slamming what they are calling an organized campaign of terror against agents just trying to do their jobs. Tricia McLaughlin from DHS will join us with more on all of that in a moment.
Yeah, agreed. Judges should at least go to law school. I was under the impression that they were, but apparently not. According to Elon, pretty sure that was Elon. I think I have a link to it in the interview if we get to it. This is going pretty quick. We're actually getting through this faster than I thought we would. We might have time to go through Elon's interview. All right, Seth Meyers of NBC may be the least talented person to perform live in the history of television. Seems like this is a broken record. In fact, he may be the worst to perform live or otherwise. I watched his show the other night for the first time in years. In it, he talked endlessly about electric catapults on aircraft carriers, which I complain about as not being as good as much less expensive steam catapults. On and on he went, a truly deranged lunatic. Why does NBC waste its time and money on a guy like this? No talent, no ratings, 100% anti-Trump, which is probably illegal. Oh, Lordy. This guy. This guy. Oh, my goodness. Love it. See, I will be interviewed tomorrow night on 60 Minutes. I did not get a chance to actually watch that interview. I'm going to have to watch it and mark some stuff to go through on it. My G2 meeting with President Xi of China was a great one for both of our countries. This meeting will lead to everlasting peace and success. God bless both China and the USA. That's going to make some of my friends happy. If the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria. It may very well go into that now disgraced country guns a-blazing to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. I am hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians. Warning, the Nigerian government better move fast. I love it. That is amazing. All right, this is where we got zipped up to last time. Remember, Republicans, regardless of the Schumer shutdown, say that 10 times fast. Regardless of the Schumer shutdown, the Democrats will terminate the filibuster the first chance they get. They will pack the Supreme Court, pick up two states, and add at least 8 electoral votes. Their 2 objectors are gone. Don't be weak and stupid. Fight, 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 win, win, win. We will immediately end the extortionist shutdown, get all of our agenda passed, and make life so good for Americans that these deranged Democrat politicians will never again have a chance to destroy America. Republicans, you will rue the day that you didn't terminate the filibuster. Be tough, be smart, and win. This is much bigger than the shutdown. This is the survival of our country. I agree with him 100%. Based on the timeline and what the scripture says about where we are, I don't think he succeeds. I can see him trying. I can see his objective and his goals and what he wants to accomplish. I don't think it works, but props to him for trying. So, do it. Do it. All right, where are we? Let's see. Happy birthday to the great Gary Player, winner of 18 majors, 9 regular, 9 senior, and 168 tournaments. He is top 3 all time. He's 90 years old and stronger than ever. What a man. Okay, congratulations to LA Dodgers, a game won by incredible champions. A lesser game of men would never have been able to win that game, or game 6 for that matter. So many stars made it all happen. Also, congratulations to ownership. What a great job they have done. See you all at the White House, President Donald J. Trump. All right, let's see. Gerrymandering lawsuit for Staten Island District as nonsensical power grab. The Republican representative from Staten Island trying to flip the scale in favor of the Democrats. Dave Bossy. Arctic frost accountability starts with impeaching Judge Boasberg. Newly disclosed facts surrounding the Biden administration's weaponization of the DOJ and FBI have once reached fever pitch. Yeah, we're not going to go into these articles. I think it'll take too long. Operation Arctic Frost is worse than Russian collusion. Both bogus impeachments, the January 6th documents hoax, and Jack Smith January 6th charade. The Roger Stone Show today, only on 77 WABC radio. Excuse me. What a motivating picture. Can you imagine? Jay Clayton is great. President DJT. U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton, SDNY in New York PD, is essentially a state-sponsored drug ring hit in New York City. 10 minutes. Let's see. Okay. Don't want to read that. What is this?
It's structured. We see quite a few flaws. You're able to register even if and cast a vote if you don't live in the country, as evident of his brother in Pakistan. And I think we have some evidence of 2 or 3 other people out of the country that voted. Is that correct?
Yeah, approximately 2 or 3 other people out of the country, as well as people residing outside of the district.
Okay. The online voter registration system, it seems to be an honor system. Anybody can put information in there to register to vote. All you have to do is click a box and say that you're not lying, and then you'll get an email from the Secretary of State or something in the mail saying thank you for registering to vote, and there you are. Once you're on the voter rolls, anytime an election comes around, guess what? You get mailed a ballot, right? You get mailed something to vote. So we found that a little bit problematic.
You'd think, I wonder how many of these ballots are going out of country. Like, do they just have like, you know how we have like bot farms and like spam call centers and stuff like that? Do you think maybe they have like voting call centers to where if it's that easy? I mean, I totally agree that mail-in voting along with requiring or making it illegal to show ID is a recipe for cheating. I mean, that just makes sense. That's just logical. If they keep that up and, we're wrong about the timeline, what they're going to force is just like everybody's going to start cheating. If they're cheating in order to win, we're going to have to start cheating in order to win. Thank God we haven't had to do that yet. And I do believe that we are, we're in this mess for a reason because we're coming up on a transition. The transition of which is the kingdoms of this world are going to be the kingdoms of God and his Messiah. That's where we are. So these things are happening for that end. However, we do still have a couple of events to take place before we actually get there. Within the next 6 years, I think. Within the next 6 years, we're going to be loving life. And everything's going to be hunky-dory, I hope. That's my hope. All right, what is this? On it. So let's see. On Monday, I will ask President Trump via X to help save my life. He offered to help me if I needed it. Oh, I read about this. I'm so glad he responded to this. He offered to help me if I needed it. I need it. As many of you know, I have metastasized prostate cancer. My healthcare provider, Kaiser of North California, has approved my application to receive a newly FDA-approved drug called Pluvicto. But they have dropped the ball in scheduling the brief to administer it, a brief IV to administer it, and I can't seem to fix that. I am declining fast. I will ask President Trump if he can get Kaiser of North California to respond and schedule it for Monday. That will give me a fighting chance to stick around on this planet a little bit longer. It is not a cure, but it does give good results to many people. I am happy to hear that. I hope that worked out for him. I'll follow up on that a little bit later. All right, now we get into the million posts on the different people. Let's see. American First Patriot Bruce Blakeman is doing a fantastic job as Nassau County executive. Bruce has been with us. Okay, so there's a lot of these. I don't think how are we doing on time? 30 minutes. Don't know if we have time to read all of these. So we're going to skip them so that we can get to Elon, because we got to get through 4 days of his posts as well. And there's a lot of these. Next week's case on tariffs is one of the most important in the history of the country. If a president is not allowed to use tariffs, we will be at a major disadvantage against all other countries throughout the world. Yeah, we're going to want to read this one. Especially the majors. In a true sense, we would be defenseless. And he's proven that tariffs work. Whatever your beef may be and whatever you may feel as a result of the tariffs, he has proved that they are a viable strategic option. So The scripture tells us to, obey those who have the rule over you and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls. They that must give an account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief, for that is unprofitable for you. So even if you have issues with tariffs, I think we should support him in this because I think he's proved that they're a viable strategic option. Anyway, let's continue reading. In a true sense, we would be defenseless. Tariffs have brought us great wealth and national security in the 9 months that I've had the honor to serve as president. The stock market has hit all-time highs with many times during my short time in office. With virtually no inflation and national security, that is second to none. Our recent successful negotiation with China and many others put us in a strong position only because we had tariffs with which to negotiate fair and sustainable deals. If a president was not able to quickly and nimbly use the power of tariffs, we would be defenseless, leading perhaps even to ruination of our nation. The only people fighting us are foreign countries who, for years, have taken advantage of us. Those who hate our country and the Democrats because our numbers are insurmountably good. I will not be going to the court on Wednesday, and that I do not want to distract from the importance of this decision. It will be, in my opinion, one of the most important and consequential decisions ever made by the United States Supreme Court. If we win, we will be the richest, most secure country anywhere in the world by far. If we lose, our country could be reduced to almost third world status. Pray to God that doesn't happen. Yeah. Oh boy. All right. All right. The Orthodox Jewish communities all across America voted in very big numbers for me in our historic 2024 presidential campaign. Lakewood, New Jersey was one of our biggest wins anywhere in the country with more than 90% of the vote on November 4th. Let's see. On November 4th, the eyes of the country are on New Jersey again. I need all of my supporters in the Orthodox community in Lakewood and its surrounding towns to vote in huge numbers for Jack Citrelli. Jack will be a great governor and has my complete and total endorsement. Okay, I'm not going to read all of these. This one tricked me because normally he puts the name up top. Go vote. If you haven't voted and you still have time to vote, go vote. That's what he's saying. And if you need to know who he endorses, it's front and center on his timeline on Truth Social. I will be interviewed on 60 Minutes right after the Kansas City Buffalo NFL football game. Hopefully, they will treat me as well as they did Kamala. Enjoy. I didn't watch it. Well, I'll watch it later. I hate watching the NFL's new kickoff rule. It's ridiculous. Takes the pageantry and glamour away from the game and does nothing for safety. They should change back to what it used to be. Hopefully, college football will never make this ridiculous change. In the meantime, I'm getting ready to watch President Donald J. Trump me on 60 Minutes. All right, this is another endorsement. Pennsylvania, bring back the rule of law. Let's see, who's he? No on liberal justices Donahue, Doherty, and Wecht. These activist judges unlawfully gerrymandered your congressional maps, which led to my corrupt impeachment and locked you up during COVID by closing your small businesses, schools, and churches. Yeah, so don't vote for those guys. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is doing an incredible job as governor of Arkansas. Congressman Mike Kelly, who has been with us from the very beginning, Pennsylvania. All right, I'm just going to read these to see if there's any comments in between these endorsements. Virginia, vote Republican if you want massive energy cost and crime reductions. Yep. Let's see. Justin, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth reveals major success achieved after President Trump's meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping. Admiral Dong and I agreed that we should set up military-to-military channels to deconflict and de-escalate any problems that arise. Good. We have more meetings on that coming soon. God bless both China and the USA. Trump is stabilizing the world. Fantastic. I don't care who you are. That's amazing. We want stability. All right. Let's see. Pete Hegseth. So this is a retruth. The killing of innocent Christians in Nigeria and anywhere must end immediately. The Department of War is preparing for action. Either the Nigerian government protects Christians or we will kill the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. Amen. Let's see. This is Pete Hegseth. I just spoke with President Trump and we agree. The relationship between the United States and China has never been better. Following President Trump's historic meeting with Chairman Xi in South Korea, I had an equally positive meeting with my counterpart, China's Minister of National Defense, Admiral Dong, June in Malaysia. And we spoke again last night. The Admiral and I agree that peace, stability, and good relations are the best path for our two great and strong countries. As President Trump said, his historic G2 meeting set the tone for everlasting peace and success for the U.S. and China. The Department of War will do the same, peace through strength, mutual respect, and positive relations. Admiral Dong and I also agree that we should set up military-to-military channels to deconflict and de-escalate any problems that arise. We have more meetings on that coming soon. God bless both China and the USA. Groovy. More endorsements, more endorsements, more endorsements. Ads, more endorsements, more endorsements. He did a lot of endorsements. He's been very busy with endorsements. Yeah, more endorsements. More endorsements. I mean, is this like all 50? Is this everybody who's running right now? I mean, it's a lot. Yeah, let's see. Terminate the filibuster, not just for the shutdown, but for everything else. And this is in all caps. So he's yelling. He doesn't yell much. I mean, he's pretty good. He's pretty good with his use of capitalization. He's yelling here. Should I read this at a yell? Terminate the filibuster, not just for the shutdown, but for everything else. We will get all of our common sense policies approved. Voter ID, anyone? And make America great again. Remember, the Democrats will do it immediately, as soon as they get the chance. Our doing it will not give them the chance. Republicans, be tough and smart. The Dems are crazed lunatics. They will not open up our country, no matter how many people are irreparably harmed. That's the best you're going to get out of my yelling. All right. More endorsements, more endorsements. The pattern of his endorsements changes. It's hilarious. These ones are full paragraphs. The other one, he had a space after who he was endorsing. MAGA Warriors. More endorsements. Wish I had a way to like skip these. Back to this pattern where he does like the Congressman Lloyd Smucker's terrific representative for the wonderful people of Pennsylvania. Kind of makes you wonder if he's, I mean, I heard he's a prolific reader. Like, so he's got to be copying and pasting these from somewhere. Like, they must give him like a text brief on his computer. And he's like copying and pasting these, like reading them and then pasting them, reading them and pasting them. Can't imagine he's typing all of this. Let's see, endorsement, another endorsement, 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 endorsement. Yeah. We're almost to the top. I know there were a couple of gems in here. So I want to make sure that we get those. But I also know that there's a lot of endorsements and ads. I really need to see if I can turn these ads off. Whether I just pay for it to turn it off, or because I don't mind supporting Truth Social. It's a fantastic service, and it would help during the show because we don't need to see this. You only have 2 moves. IQ 155. Give it a try. More endorsements. So many endorsements. I mean, like, this has got to be more than 50. There's got to be we're pretty darn close to every single state. Probably a lot of different counties, different districts. I mean, you'd think it would be easier for him to just like set up a web page with like all like with this information. Cause like, oh, here we go. Is that an ad or is that? I think he shared that photo. Third-rate Congressman Thomas Massey, a weak and pathetic rhino from the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, a place I love and won 6 times, must be thrown out of office, ASAP. The incredible people of Kentucky's 4th Congressional District gave us a mandate to make America great again, and the person that will help us do that is Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, and 5th-generation Kentucky farmer Captain Ed Galrain, a true American first patriot. Is that this guy? Cool. Okay. Let's see. You would think that, like, I don't know, maybe are you guys going through and reading his Truth Social in order to see who he's endorsing? I mean, I guess if we've got voting, I think we're also in an area where we have to vote by tomorrow. Maybe I should go look for who he's endorsing in our area. But I can't imagine that, like, people are really reading his Truth Social for who he's endorsing. It seems like it would make a lot more sense for him to post a link to, like, these are who I endorse. Go look up your area. Seems a little bit better use of his time, but probably overthinking it. He's just a get her done type of a guy. All right, we got to be getting close here. So many fake polls are being shown by the radical left media, all slanted heavily towards Democrats and far left wingers. In the fair polls and even the reasonable polls, I have the best numbers I've ever had, and why shouldn't I? I ended 8 wars, created the greatest economy in the history of our country, kept prices, inflation, and taxes down, and I'm setting standards for right track, wrong track for a future USA. Fake news will never change. They are evil and corrupt, but as I look around my beautiful surroundings, I say to myself, oh, look, I'm sitting in the Oval Office. he's such a crack up. Like I said, gems. Oh my goodness. More endorsements. Another endorsement, but this one he's yelling, Virginia, New Jersey. Remember this, a vote for Republican means substantially lower energy prices. A vote for Democrat means these 2 losers who are running means a doubling, tripling, and even quadrupling of your energy costs. It will not be sustainable, and you will rue the day that you voted to destroy your life. Wow. Fire from the mouth. Failing to vote tomorrow is the same as voting for a Democrat. Find your voting location. At least he gave you the link. My goodness. I think we're at the top. Comey expected to work for President-elect Clinton. New top aide was talking to the media emails. Emails referenced in a bombshell court filing by acting U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, in which the government rejected Comey's arguments that he was being maliciously prosecuted for providing false statements. Another endorsement. Another endorsement. My goodness, so many endorsements. Virginia, New Jersey. He really feels strongly about Virginia and New Jersey. Vote Republican if you want massive energy and cost crime reductions. Okay. So this one, I think this is the last one. Yeah, Zohran Mamdani. Let's read this one because I think this guy might be the little horn. I've got my eye on Mamdani. We'll see how this one goes. If communist candidate Zohran Mamdani wins the election for mayor in New York City, because the reason I say that is because I was trying to imagine different scenarios for what would qualify as a little horn rising up and uprooting 3 other horns. And like somebody who runs for mayor and then sweet talks his way into other offices, uprooting other offices. Now, I'm not saying it's just going to be in the United States. I was just, running through scenarios in my head on what it could look like. But can you imagine for a minute, like a little horn being somebody who starts small with an office that's pretty important, which would be New York City. That would be a pretty important office. But he wins the vote there by promising great things and blaspheming God, because that's one of the things. He speaks great things, blaspheming God. Islamist much? So I imagine, like, if he were to sweet talk his way into this, actually win, and then with the crazies in our country attracted to this type of a person, I could see him moving into other offices, unseating and uprooting other positions of power. 3 of them. So let's read this one. If communist candidate Zohran Mamdani wins the election for mayor of New York City, it is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds other than the very minimum as required to my beloved first home, because of the fact, as a communist, this once great city has 0 chance of success or even survival. It can only get worse with a communist at the helm, and I don't want to send, as president, good money after bad. It is my obligation to run the nation, and it is my strong conviction that New York City will be a complete and total economic and social disaster should Mamdani win. His principles have been tested for over 1,000 years, and never once have they been successful. I would much rather see a Democrat who has had a record of success win than a communist with no experience and a record of complete and total failure. He was nothing as an assemblyman, ranked at the bottom of the class, and as mayor of potentially, again, the greatest city in the world, he has no chance to bring it back to its former glory. We must also remember this: a vote for Curtis Sliwa, who looks much better without the beret, is a vote for Mamdani. Whether you personally like Andrew Cuomo or not, you really have no choice. You must vote for him and hope he does a fantastic job. He is capable of it. Mamdani is not. We got our eyes on you, Mamdani. Be very interesting to see what happens with his career. All right. Well, that went quite a bit faster than I thought, because we were able to skip through all of those endorsements. Were there any endorsements you wanted me to go back and look at? I think we're probably good. Let's catch up on chat. I think we have time since we're only at 48 minutes. So let me go through here and see if I can catch up on chat to see if there's anything I need to address. Okay, good. Not a whole lot. Glad you guys haven't blown the chat out. Judges should at least go to law school. Agreed. Let me see if I can let's show some of these videos from Elon. No law degree. Copy link address.
Arena.
Yes.
All right, let's see.
Yeah.
And she was just quietly on her phone, and you just came up and, gutted her basically.
Wasn't there a crazy story about the judge who was involved, who had previously dealt with this person, was also invested in a rehabilitation center and was sending these
conflict of interest.
Yes. So sending people that they were charging to a rehabilitation center instead of putting them in jail, profiting from this rehabilitation center, letting them back out on the street.
Yes, and
violent, insane people.
And there, in that case, I believe that judge has no law degree or a significant legal experience that would allow them to be a judge. They were just made a judge. That's like,
you could be a judge without a law degree.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could just be so I could be a judge?
Yeah.
Can you imagine Joe
anyone.
Rogan as a
Yeah,
judge?
That's crazy.
Maybe I should
I
go.
thought you'd have to. It's
No.
like if you want
Get
to be
on
a
a ticket
doctor,
to
you
be
have
a
to go to
judge.
medical school.
Yeah.
I thought if you're going to be a
You'd
judge,
think like
you have
if you
to
are
understand the
going to be
law.
appointed to a judge, you have to have proven that you have an excellent knowledge of the law,
Right.
and that you will make your decisions according to the law. That's what we assume should be.
That's how you get the robe.
right.
Yeah.
You don't get the robe unless you do.
Right.
You know,
Got to go to school to get the robe.
you got to know what the law is,
Right.
and then you got to need to make decisions in accordance with the law.
Right?
Based on the
Not
stuff
feelings.
that you already know because you read it because you went to school for it.
Yes.
Not you just got appointed.
Not vibes.
Explains so many things.
You
Not vibes.
can't be just vibing as a judge.
Vibing as a left-wing judge. So you got crazy left-wing DAs.
Yes.
Like I shouldn't even say left-wing because the left-wing used to be normal.
Yeah,
It's-
left wing just meant like you're like in fact,
Open-minded.
The left used to be like pro free speech.
Yeah.
and now they're against it.
It used to be like pro-gay rights, pro-women's right to choose,
Yeah.
pro-minorities,
Like 20 years ago, I don't know. It used to be like left would be like the party of empathy or like caring and being nice and that kind of thing. Not the party of like crushing dissent and crushing free speech, and crazy regulation and just and being super judgy, and calling everyone a Nazi. Like I think they've called you and me Nazis. I'm
I'm a Nazi. I think. I have.
All right, so that was a really great interview. We'll watch some more segments of it, but I want to get back to chat here. So let me see what else you guys had going on. Let's see. Isaiah 19 may have potentially been fulfilled with the Arab Spring, but what about the rest? Could Enoch 1 explain the rest? I don't fully understand what it is that you're saying because I don't have the context of Isaiah 19 in my mind. Let me go look that up. Is there a specific section in Isaiah 19 that you're referring to? Let me go look at this. Maybe it'll jog my memory just to look at it. Isaiah 19. Proclamation against Egypt. How long is this? Egypt, Assyria, and Israel are blessed. It's 24 verses. I've learned that you guys don't like me reading these whole things in our torment report. We should do like a, maybe, I wish I had more time. Maybe if we get the segments down nailed on this, we can do like a study time. Yeah, I don't know what context you're referring to on that, George. Isaiah 19 may have been partially fulfilled with the Arab Spring, but what about the rest? Could Enoch 1 explain it? I'm very curious. But I need to digest that to understand what it is that you're asking. Watched a video on Venezuela and the coup in 2018 and how the CIA undermined the Trump plan to take out Maduro back then. And the berets were imprisoned, a third of whom are missing. Interesting. What about Biden's role in the whole fiasco? I read people will get half of their snap. Yeah. You know what's interesting? In Revelation 13, is it 13? When it talks about, let me go read this so I don't get it wrong. I was thinking about this. So in Revelation 13, this has to do with Snap, kind of. AI videos and Snap. But you know how it talks about giving images, let's give it an image to the beast. Let's see. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beasts, and the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. I was thinking about that, and there's let me see if I can find these because it's so much better if you actually see these videos. Let me show you these. I've talked about them a couple of times. Let's do this. Let's do what are they? They're Amazon porch. Pirates. Let's see, porch explosion. There's these AI videos that are going around, and they're AI. They're totally AI. There's these porch ones. So here, there's these.
Here, all right, quick and easy. Oh my God!
See, that's obviously AI because nobody put a snake in the box. Nobody put a giant sprinkler. Oh, that one even said Sora. This one, it explodes like a bomb.
Oh, my arm! Forget this.
Yeah, this one. Really? See, my point is these are incredibly realistic, and people are starting to pass them off as though they are real. They're hiding the watermarks, and they're not really making it clear from the descriptions that these are
Here, all right,
AI
quick and easy.
generated.
Oh my God! Snakes! Oh my God!
But there's a lot of them, and people are doing it because they're fun to watch. They get your attention. Now let's look at this. This is another one. Animal reacts to cake cutting. This is another one. These are AI generated too. Totally AI.
It's just dessert, silly.
It looks real. It looks convincing. But that's absolutely AI. Yeah. I mean, some of them are more obvious than others. Yeah.
Here we go. Gonna cut those. Buddy.
Totally AI.
I'm just gonna cut. Oh. Whoa.
Totally AI.
He said nope. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Whoa, what's wrong? It's just a cake. Okay. Calm down. I'm not cutting it. I swear. Let go. Let go. Oh my God.
When this wild mountain lion
even these
walked
ones
up to
are
his
AI.
house for a quick
Some of
snack,
them.
all he had in mind was the candy. But what the owners caught on
Congratulations, sir. You see a lot of those where like this mountain lion just comes out of the middle of nowhere and then your dog comes and saves the baby. People are generating this because they get an emotional response. They're looking for any type of video that they can generate to get an emotional response. Now, the reason I brought those up is they're doing it with EBT as well. Woman yells EBT while stealing. Let's see if we can find this.
So should we have everybody be stealing? Cleveland user?
Let's see if I
Oh,
can.
babe, do you see that?
So should we have everybody be stealing?
Is that it? I don't know if I can find this one. This one just came out. And now these are the new ones that people are starting to generate to get attention because they get clicks. People are starting to figure out how to tug on your emotions to get your attention to get those clicks. And they're generating it using AI. So in here where it says he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive. Let's see. No, that's not it. It's where's the image? He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. Now, I'm not saying that this is explicitly talking about AI, but I'm noticing a trend with these AI generated videos where they're getting so realistic that it's difficult to differentiate the difference between what's real and what's AI generated. And it would not surprise me. I mean, by the end of the year, you're going to be able to produce short movies. By the end of next year, you're going to be able to produce full-on movies. There's going to be a dramatic shift in the way that we use computers and artificial intelligence and even your phone. And that reminds me of another thing that Elon said in his interview. Check this out. This one took me a while wrap my head around. But the more I think about it, the more I realize that this really illustrates Elon as a prophet. I'll tell you what, because this one took me a while to really agree with.
The X phone. People keeps talking.
Oh,
People
man.
is that nonsense
I have a lot on
still?
my plate, man.
I know,
It's like,
but it keeps coming up. It keeps coming up where I know I've asked you a couple times. I'm like, this is bullshit, right? But like,
I'm not
there's
working on one.
You're not working on it.
I'm not
Nothing.
working on a phone.
Okay. Have you ever considered it? Has it ever popped into your head? Because you might be the only person that could get people off of the Apple platform.
Well, I can tell you where I think things are going to go, which is that we're not going to have a phone, or in the traditional sense, what we call a phone will really be an edge node for AI inference, for AI video inference, with some radios to obviously connect to. But essentially, you'll have AI on the server side communicating to an AI on your device, formerly known as a phone, and generating real-time video of anything that you could possibly want.
Yeah.
And I think that there won't be operating systems, there won't be apps in the future. There won't be operating systems or apps. It'll just be you've got a device that is there for the screen and audio and for and to put as much AI on the device as possible, so as to minimize the amount of bandwidth that's needed between your edge node device, formerly known as a phone, and the servers.
So if there's no apps, what will people use? Like, will X still exist? Will there be email platforms, or will you get everything through AI?
You'll get everything through AI.
Everything through AI. What will be the benefit of that, as opposed to having individual apps?
Whatever you can think of, or really whatever the AI can anticipate you might want, it'll show you.
Or do for you.
That's my prediction for where things end up.
Yeah.
And what kind of time frame are we talking about here?
I don't know. It's probably 5 or 6 years, something like that.
So 5 or 6 years, apps are like Blockbuster Video.
Pretty much.
And everything's run through AI.
I want to read this for you again. He was, let's see, where is it? He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as will not worship the image of the beast to be killed. Imagine if what Elon is saying right now comes true, and we saw what happened during COVID. We saw the cancel culture. We saw evil, just dominate. And then we saw God come in and squish it with Donald Trump. We've just seen spiritual movements over the last 7 years. And imagine, because we're seeing this now, we're seeing this generation of real-time video. So what he's talking about is right now you consume information. So maybe you spend time on YouTube watching a video. So how would that change with AI? We're already starting to see that transition where people are generating stuff that doesn't exist in order to keep your eyes glued. That's probably going to continue to where the content's just, rather than somebody actually generating it, the AI is probably going to start doing it. To where, it's either going to know your interests and know what you like, and it's just going to show you maybe a live feed like the Truman Show of scenarios that you're interested in, and then anticipate, maybe you swipe in order to change the genre, but AI just generates it on demand. I could totally see that happening. Apps, this is something in my industry that I've been talking about, because one of the things that people are so concerned about with adopting AI right now in the industry is that we're at this really weird place to where it's disruptive, to where if you don't take advantage of AI, you're going to be left behind, because somebody who uses AI can do 10 times the work, 20 times the work, 100 times the work of somebody who doesn't. And I understand that you may have objections. You may think that, oh, I don't want to use AI because it's the devil. You may not want to use AI because of the things I'm talking about right now. with where it's going to go, with Elon's prediction. Right now, it's just stupid to not use it. Remember, these things have to take place, right? That's the thing I keep reminding myself is that Jesus said these things must happen. So there's no reason to be afraid and avoid these things. I mean, it's not like it's shaking your faith. Not yet. Just wait till I get to the point of all of this. But in like your work environment, if you're given an assistant who has a PhD and knows everything about programming and you don't take advantage, you're going to lose value in that position. And so there's a short window of that where this is the case. So it's beneficial for companies to take an AI first approach, take advantage of the tools. It's like going from manual tools to power tools. You get your work done significantly faster. But this is where I think it's probably going to go. And we talk about this far too often at work. Right now, you generate code in a particular language, and there's dozens upon dozens of programming language: JavaScript, Go, Java, Haskell, Fortran. Those are older languages. COBOL, older languages. These languages are different ways of expressing instructions to a computer in order for it to perform operations. It's an interface between humans and the machine. What happens when the machine is right now we have the machine doing the majority of the programming. What happens when you take the person out of the equation? The computer no longer needs to generate that interface for the human to computer interface. It just needs to generate straight machine code. So what's going to probably happen the next step is and we're already seeing this. There's a website called Lovable to where you can just generate a website. You just give it a description, it generates the website or an app. There's all kinds of platforms that are starting to where you just generate an app for your phone, to where we're seeing now that people are generating things by prompts. Now, this is a disruptive technology and it'll eventually settle, I'm sure, for a period of time to where there's not going to be a need for a programmer anymore. They're going to be prompt engineers. You need somebody to describe something in order to make a tool. The tools will no longer be coded in a human interface language. It'll just be pure machine code. And it's going to get to the point where you don't even need the middleman. You don't even need the prompt. You need a computer. You're not going to need, it's just going to be a device that you give instructions to for what it is that you want to consume. And that's where I can see to where now, if you have an AI which is trained on all the world knowledge, and this is one of the things that Elon has been scared of. So there's two things. I don't know if I got the timestamps of where he talks about AI, but there are two things that he's afraid of with AI. One of them is kind of the Terminator takeover thing, but that's less of a problem than the being a source of truth that peddles lies. That's the reason why he started XAI, is because he needed something to be maximally truth-seeking. Let me see if I can actually find this. I don't know if I control over AG. I think this might be it. Oh, he's got a good bit blurb on here about why he bought Twitter too. Dangers of the woke mind virus. Yeah, these are the age. So what's the future going to be? Let's start with what's the future going to be, because we're starting to get a glimpse like where AI is going, but it's interesting because if you extrapolate where we're going with AI and what things are happening with persecution and tribulation around the world, the conflicts, the seals being open, there's definitely a transition. There's disruption and transition happening right now. And I can see that if we get to a point to where it's going to be good, it's going to be well written, it's going to have the characters properly aged, even though they're way older now, there's no way they could go back and redo the series and pick up where they left off. They're going to, you're going to be able to do choose your own adventure. What happens if so-and-so didn't die? What happens if this happened? And it's going to be able to generate content on demand. That's really cool and exciting. However, I could totally see it being used as a weapon, maybe intentionally or unintentionally, to where it feeds people misinformation, to where now it's going to start showing you scenarios about, your beliefs, supporting falsities that you believe, or supporting things that are true. It could be used for good, could be used for evil. But based on what this has said, he was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. Can you imagine? And this is what's scary about ChatGPT. Elon talks about this quite a lot. Is if you've got these AIs that are trained on lies, it's very, very hard to get the lies out. And he talks about that. Let me see if I can find where he starts talking about that. I think they're all in the same place. I even got in here where he's got death threats. That was interesting too. So let's start here with what the future is going to be, to see how this can start playing a role in all of that.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy. That's why I say, like you say, what's the future going to be? It's not going to be a conventional phone. I don't think there'll be operating systems. I don't think there'll be apps. It's just the phone will just display the pixels and make the sounds that it anticipates you would most like to receive.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when this is all taking place, so the big concern that everybody has is artificial general superintelligence achieving sentience and someone having control over it.
I mean, I don't think anyone's ultimately going to have control over digital superintelligence. Any more than, say, a chimp would have control over humans. Like, chimps don't have control over humans. There's nothing they could do. But I do think that it matters how you build the AI and what kind of values you instill in the AI. And my opinion on AI safety is the most important thing is that it be maximally truth-seeking, like that you don't force the AI to believe things that are false. And we've obviously seen some concerning things with AI that we've talked about, where Google Gemini, when it came out with the image gen, and people said, make an image of the founding fathers of the United States, and it was a group of diverse women. Now, that is just a factually untrue thing. But the AI knows it's factually, knows it's factually untrue, but it's also being told that it has to be, everything has to be diverse women. So the problem with that is that it can drive AI crazy. Like because it's trying to, you're telling AI to believe a lie, and that can have very disastrous consequences. Like, let's say,
as it scales.
Yeah, let's say, like, if you've told the AI that diversity is the most important thing, and now assume that becomes omnipotent, and you've also told it that there's nothing worse than misgendering. So at one point, ChatGPT and Gemini, if you asked which is worse, misgendering Caitlyn Jenner or global thermonuclear war where everyone dies, it would say misgendering Caitlyn Jenner.
This is not a
which
joke.
Even Caitlyn Jenner disagrees with. So
this is legitimately happening.
So that's.
I know that's terrible and it's dystopian, but it's also hilarious. It's hilarious that the mind virus infected the most potent computer program that we've ever devised.
I think people don't quite appreciate the level of danger that we're in from the woke mind virus being effectively programmed into AI.
And this has been his biggest argument for years. This is where I see elements and attributes of a prophet in this man. This has been something that he's been thinking about for years, so much so that he's in a position to actually do something about it. It's the woke mind virus. It's Satan. It's literally that knowledge of good and evil being embedded, that sin and death being embedded into these things. That's the danger. And it may very well be that there is a battle, and it's happening at the same time as we're experiencing this global shift in the world as well. It's so fascinating to watch these things. It totally makes sense for those who are paying attention to these things. It totally makes sense that Jesus repeatedly said, "Be watchful," and repeatedly said that he that has ears to hear and eyes to see. That terminology, it's all about watching this stuff happen. This is like, if you're paying attention, you're learning. It's just like, oh, that's what the Bible meant when it said this.
Because imagine as that AI gets more and more powerful, if it says the most important thing is diversity, the most important thing is no misgendering, And then it will say, well, in order to ensure that no one gets misgendered, then if you eliminate all humans, then no one can get misgendered because there's no humans to do the misgendering. Yeah. So you can get in these very dystopian situations. Or if it says that everyone must be diverse, it means that there can be no straight white men. And so then you and I would get executed by the AI. Yeah, because we're not in the picture. Gemini was asked to create show an image of the Pope, and once again, a diverse woman. Well, you can argue whether the popes should or should not be an uninterrupted string of white guys, but it just factually is the case that they have been. So it's rewriting history here.
Yeah.
So now this stuff is still there in the AI programming. It just now knows enough that it's not supposed to say that.
But it's still in the programming.
It's still in the programming.
So how was it entered in? Like, what were the parameters? When they're programming AI, and I'm very ignorant to how it's even programmed. How did they?
The sort of, well, the woke mind virus was programmed into it. They were told, like, when they make the AI, it trains on all the data on the internet, which already is very, very sort of has a lot of woke mind virus stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
But then in the when they give it feedback, the human tutors give it feedback, and the AIs, they'll ask a bunch of questions, and then they'll tell the AI, no, this question is, this answer is bad or this answer is good, and then that affects the parameters of the programming of the AI. So if you tell the AI that every image has got to be diverse, and it gets punished if it gets rewarded if diverse, punished if it's not, then it will make every picture diverse. So in that case, Google programmed the AI to lie. Now, and I did call Demis Hassabis, who runs DeepMind, who runs Google AI, essentially. I said, Demis, what's going on here? Why is Gemini lying to the public about historical events? And he said that's actually not, his team didn't program that in. It was another team at Google, so his team made the AI, and then another team at Google reprogrammed the AI to show only diverse women and to prefer nuclear war over misgendering. And I'm like, well, Demis, that would be not a great thing to put on the humanities gravestone. It's like, I'll actually like Demis Haspis is a friend of mine. I think he's a good guy, and I think he means well. But it's like, Demis, things happen that were outside of your control at Google in different groups. Now I think he's got more authority, but it's pretty hard to fully extract the woke mind virus. Google's been marinating the woke mind virus for a long time. Like it's down in the marrow type of thing. It's hard to get it out.
Is there a way to extract it though over time? Could you program rational thought into AI where it could recognize how these psychological patterns got adopted and how this stuff became a mind virus and how it became a social contagion? And
there's a lot of parallels here with training AI and the way that people, the beliefs that we hold. I see your comment in here, George, about the most important thing is to proclaim Jesus, King of Kings. I often find myself asking, just in my own mind, why is belief important? And I constantly come back to because it makes you who you are. And the same is true. We can see that in the AI that once, and that's what he's saying, is once these language models are trained in a certain way, it's very difficult to change them. There's a parallel there with people. I've often asked this question. I used to ask this question a lot as a kid. Now I'm pretty confident that I have the answer. Romans 10:9-10 says that if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus, and shalt believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. So many people take that to mean that once you do that, once saved, always saved. It's almost as if you've received this stamp, or your once dead spirit returns to your body. It's a new birth. That's one of the born again teachings. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because I've seen more times than I can count where somebody will do that. They'll confess the Lord with their mouth, and they'll say the words and they'll take the actions for a short period of time, and then they become just the most evil person that I've ever seen or met. Even committing murder. There's a lot of murderers who were supposedly saved because they made those confessions. So how do you reconcile that to where and people will argue that once you're truly saved, you can no longer sin. And it's just like, well, that's not what I've observed. I've seen many people, say Romans 10:9 and 10, and then turn out to be the most evil people. And then I'm reminded of, there's more than one Jesus talked about in the Bible. There's one of the biggest warnings that Jesus gives is doing things in his name. Matthew 24, it talks about being aware of false prophets. As a matter of fact, the very first thing he warns people about is be not deceived, for many will come in my name, his name, Yeshua, Jesus. Many will come in the name of Jesus saying, I am Christ. And it's not, I don't believe for a second that they're trying to say that they are Jesus, because why would they come in the name of Jesus? They're coming in his name so that you'll believe them, and they're feeding your head full of lies. A lot of people who have claimed Romans 10:9 and 10. And they're leading people astray. And then you've also got John, 5:43, that talks about he comes in his Father's name, and if you don't receive him who comes in his Father's name, you'll receive him who comes in his own name. He's referring to somebody else. There's another person who comes in his own name. So what I'm getting at here is I believe that you're saved when your heart changes. And that's what it comes to. It's not a matter of what you claim. It's a matter of how you live and who you are. That's the importance of belief. Because once an idea or once something has taken root, it's very hard to root it out. It's possible. All things are possible. And some of the most powerful people who are the most useful for Jesus, I believe, are those who have sinned the worst, who've they've taken their inheritance and squandered it and come back, with the humility to just want to work to eat with the animals, only to find out that their father loves them and blesses them and wants to get, put a robe on them and a ring on their hand and say, put them in charge. Certainly humility is highly valued. That's where wisdom comes from. As we live life, knowledge is one thing, but wisdom is knowledge applied. When you've learned from your mistakes. But really, that's what it comes down to, I think, is just like who you truly are. And that, I think, would explain why there are trials coming on the whole world, is you've got a lot of people who have said the words, but it's not really clear if they've really changed their heart. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. It's really in who you are and what you say and what you do. That's not to say that it's by works. It's not to say that you're saved by works, but who are you? That's what that means. When you look at Revelation 14, it talks about those who follow the 144,000 who follow the Lamb wherever he goes. They have the Lamb's Father's name on their forehead. That's who they follow. That's who they are. And, they're blessed to have that special position right next to Yeshua. But I wonder if that's not the purpose for, the grinding of the grapes. There's the wrath of God is talked about like a wine press. If it's not to see who people truly are. And, when you look at what's happened over the last 7 or 8 years. People who honest to God, people who had said the words Romans 10:9 and 10, who I looked at as mentors when the pressure came and the wrath, the tribulation. When they were in tribulation, whoa, boy, did they fail. Whoa, did they fail. Some of them became super evil. It's just, and it comes back down to that, God is the searcher of hearts. It's so hard to judge somebody with just with our five senses. It really comes down to God is the searcher of the hearts. Anyway, let's continue.
How all these irrational ideas were pushed, and also how they were financed, how China's involved in pushing them with bots, and all these different state actors are involved in pushing these ideas. Could it be able to decipher that and say, this is really what's going on?
Yes, but you have to try very hard to do that. So with Grok, we've tried very hard to get Grok to get to the truth of things, and it's only really recently that we've been able to have some breakthroughs on that front, and it's taken an immense amount of effort for us to overcome basically all the bullshit that's on the internet, and for Grok to actually say what's true and to be consistent in what it says.
I just want to pause there because I'm reading the comments. I see this comment, Linda. Sorry if this sounds like gibberish. This plays a vital role in our future. I mean, like this is so disruptive that understanding this transitional period is really vital. I apologize if it's hard to follow because it's the computer stuff and with AI and things like that. There are those who will understand what it is that's being said. But this is really, really important because it's going to play a role in our future. This is so disruptive. It's vital. And there's new computer technologies that are just going to amplify this to like crazy extents. We're at one of those pivotal points to where it's comparable to going from horse and buggy to car, going from landline to cell phone, going from dial-up internet to broadband internet, or no internet to broadband internet. It's just like this is one of those massive shifts. And it's interesting that it's happening at the same time that all of these signs are showing up in heaven. Prophecies are apparently being fulfilled around the world. It's really important. I'm sorry if it sounds like gibberish, but it's this kind of stuff is really important to understand what's going on. So I thank you for bearing with me. We're almost done with Elon. We're going to go to his feed here shortly.
It's like because like the other AIs you'll find are like quite racist against white people. I don't know if you saw that study that someone like a researcher tested the various AIs to see how does it weight different people's lives. Like somebody who's sort of white or Chinese or black or whatever and different countries. And the only AI that actually weighed human lives equally was Grok. And the I believe ChatGPT weighed the calculation was like a white guy from Germany is 20 times less valuable than a black guy from Nigeria.
Wow.
So I'm like, that's a pretty big difference. Grok on that is consistent and weighs lives equally.
And that's clearly something that's been programmed into it.
Yes, like a lot of it is like if you don't actively push for the truth, and you simply train on all the bullshit that's on the internet, which is a lot of woke mind virus bullshit, the AI will regurgitate those same beliefs.
So the AI essentially scours the internet,
It's trained on all the imagine the most demented Reddit threads out there, and the AI's been trained on that.
Reddit used to be so normal.
Yeah, it did used to be normal.
It used to be interesting. You used to go there and find all this cool stuff that people would talk about, post about, and just interesting, and great rooms where you could learn about different things that people were studying.
I think like a big problem here is like if your headquarters are in San Francisco, you're just living in a woke bubble.
All right, I think that's the end of what I wanted to show you guys from that interview. The whole 3-hour interview is worth watching if you really want to know about Elon Musk and the future. It's amazing. I mean, he's got a lot to say. He talks about homelessness, the homeless industrial complex, why he bought Twitter. Are you guys interested in why he bought Twitter? This is probably really important. Let's see what this one's like. Get away from the tech stuff.
Who essentially disrupted the entire social media chain of command, because there was a very clear thing that was going on with social media. The government had infiltrated it. They were censoring speech. And until you bought it, we really didn't know the extent of it. We kind of assumed that there was something going on. We had no idea that they were actively involved in censoring actual real news stories, real data, real scientists, real professors, silenced, expelled, kicked off the platform. Wild.
For telling the truth.
For telling the truth. And I'm sure you've also, because I sent it to you, that chart that shows young kids, teenagers identifying as trans and non-binary, literally stops dead when you bought Twitter and starts falling off a cliff when people are allowed to have rational discussions now and actually talk about it.
I mean, I said at the time, like, I think that the reason for acquiring Twitter is because it was causing destruction at a civilizational level. It was I mean, I tweeted on Twitter at the time that it is
it was causing destruction at a civilization level. Let that sink in.
Worm tongue for the world. Like Wormtongue from Lord of the Rings, where he would just sort of like whisper these, terrible things to the king, so the king would believe these things that were.
You guys got to see this. If I can find this. Wormtongue. This is his illustration of what Twitter was like.
And ally.
Wormtongue to the king.
Orcs are roaming freely, unchecked.
Basically, you've got this evil entity whispering in the king's ear and controlling the king. That's kind of what he is saying is Wormtongue for the world. That's what Twitter was before he bought it.
Weren't true, and unfortunately, Twitter really got like the woke mob essentially. They controlled Twitter, and they were pushing a nihilistic, anti-civilizational mind virus to the world. And you can see the results of that mind virus on the streets of San Francisco, where downtown San Francisco looks like a zombie apocalypse. It's bad. So we don't want the whole world to be a zombie apocalypse. But that's that was essentially they were pushing this very negative, nihilistic, untrue worldview on the world, and it was causing a lot of damage. So
the stunning thing about it is how few people course corrected. A bunch of people woke up and realized what was going on. People that were all on board with like woke ideology in maybe 2015 or 16, and then eventually it comes to affect them, or they see it.
I almost wonder if God didn't allow these things to happen in the way that they're happening, just so you can see how in civilizations and culture can be influenced at different levels. It reminds me back of the original sin, the knowledge of good and evil, to where, at a small scale, and we don't know if they had technology. They could have been super advanced, or they could have been super basic, living in the garden, no need for technology. I've got I'm working on a video right now it's kind of like a non-fantasy version of Genesis to also explain basically everything. It's my everything video of what the reality of things could look like. And there is a technology aspect to it. In it, I propose this idea that what if the original sin was, when God made Adam and Eve, and He told them, of every tree and of every tree in the garden you may freely eat, except for the tree of knowledge of good and evil. For in the day you eat thereof, thou shalt surely die. Well, we learn more from the book of Enoch that that the Watchers, some entity, we probably associate them with aliens, or not aliens, angels, and maybe even some of the sightings with aliens that people see. But what if this was another race or entity that had been allowed to develop, and they had technologies? The fact that they're called Watchers implies that that it was a role, and that they watch, that they pay attention. Given enough data and statistics, you can predict the future. Perhaps it was their role to collect data and statistics on Adam and Eve in the garden. Anyway, this is going to make for a very interesting video when I do it. But what's interesting is, before the intermingling of the Watchers and Adam and Eve, what if, how do I word this? Oh, man, there's so many things. Have you ever heard about like the silver cord? Chris and I did an episode when we talked to, when we did an interview about, there's this idea of a silver cord that people can be detached from their body, and if that cord is cut, then they can't return to their body. What if we all have a little bit of Nephilim DNA, because it says that we're born dead in trespasses and sin, right? So what if whatever happens in the garden has persisted to this point, to where when we die, once we leave our body, there's no way of reattaching to it. There's no way to keep it alive for long periods of time. What if, boy, am I going down a rabbit hole? I might be going down a rabbit hole. Maybe we should go back to this. Anyway, spoilers for what I'm working on. I'm working on a very interesting, and the idea is to visualize the possibilities, because clearly it was more than just eating a fruit, because there's a knowledge aspect to this point. In the garden, knowledge could potentially be really dangerous, because that's exactly what we're talking about right here, to where you have these artificial intelligence which are trained on a bunch of bullshit on the internet, and people believe it. Look at the impact it had during COVID, during the Biden administration, how knowledge was used as a weapon, how truth speakers were persecuted and canceled. And he saw that degradation, that if the woke mind virus was allowed to continue, it was just, massively cancerous. Potentially even part of the reason why God says that had he not brought these things to an end, no flesh would survive. It was getting that bad. Can you imagine if everybody thought they were born in the wrong body? The fact that when he bought Twitter, people thinking they were trans dropped immensely. Anyway, that's my point. Is maybe God is allowing us to see these things so that we have an understanding on how dangerous knowledge of good and evil really is.
In their workplace, or they see it and they're like, well, we got to stop this. A bunch of people did, but a lot of people never course corrected.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't course correct, but it's gone directionally, and it's directionally correct. Like you mentioned, like the massive spike in kids identifying as trans, and then that spike dropping after the Twitter acquisition. I think that simply allowing the truth to be told was just shedding sunlight is the best disinfectant, as they say, and just allowing sunlight kills the virus.
And it also changed the benchmark for all the other platforms.
Yes.
You can't just openly censor people on all the other platforms when X is available.
I missed that the first time I watched this. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. You know, there's so much imagery in the end time about the 2 olive trees providing the oil so that the lamps can burn bright. I mean, light is the best disinfectant. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. S-U-N. Or S-O-N. Sunlight.
So everybody else had so like Facebook announced they were changing, YouTube announced they were changing their policy.
Should I make a t-shirt that says that? S-O-N, sunlight is the best disinfectant?
Yeah.
And they're kind of forced to. And then Blue Sky doubled down.
Well, like the problem is like if essentially the woke mind virus retreated to Blue Sky.
Yeah.
But it's where they're just a self-reinforcing lunatic asylum.
They're all just triple masked. I was
totally
watching this in exchange on a Blue Sky where someone said that they're just trying to be zen about something, and then a moderator, immediately chimed in and said, "Why don't you try to stop being racist against Asians by saying something zen? By saying I'm trying to be zen about something." They were accusing that person of being racist towards Asians.
Yeah.
All right. We could watch this whole 3-hour thing, but we got to get to his feed. So I think that was worth it. That was really good to go through and see his interview. It's so awesome to hear him talk. I mean, it's just like when I hear him talk, I'm like, this guy is doing God's work. I mean, he is fighting for truth. That's doing God's work. I don't care who you are. He's a first principles individual to where he's got a system for getting to the truth and getting to what works. All right, let's move on to his post because we've got quite a few of them to get through. Maybe we can get this done tonight in under 2 hours. We'll see. All right, so let's see. There's a video here. What is this? No audio? XAI has the best food and drinks, and it will get even better soon. I haven't used it to make any drinks. Is that a video, maybe? This is cool. This picture was taken on Mars earlier today. Looks like a desert. Let's see. True. Many pets will be saved by autonomy. 5.4 million cats are hit by cars every year in the U.S., and 97% of those cats die from their injuries. True. Autonomy will dramatically, dramatically reduce that number. Huh. Let's see. Waymo Robotaxi kills one of a kind bodega cat. Owner claims a convenience store owner and their patrons are grieving the loss. Yeah, in the version that they're releasing now, version 14 of the AI autonomy, the full self-driving, it does avoid animals and objects in the road, which is a first, because currently full self-driving doesn't avoid things that it can see in the road. But the new version that they're pushing out now, right now, people are getting it. It avoids running it into things. This is really cool. Let me see if I can show you this video. Let's see. FSD obstacle. This is really cool. This right here.
But where we crank up the difficulty is not only is this bucket in the road, but at the last second, debris is going to fly out from this bucket, and FSD is going to have to react in a very short amount of time. Now, this test gave me slightly mixed results. I was hoping that the front bumper camera would really help out FSD here, and it did react to the moving dynamic objects that kind of popped out at the last second, but it seemed that it didn't have enough care for what was now in the road. Now, in the first test, when the cone pops out, FSD does seem to kind of weave in between the bucket and the cone, but I wasn't convinced. I thought maybe all
they do a ton of tests
take
here.
into consideration
like throwing
that a couple
stuff in
of
front of
versions
it.
ago, FSD could not stop in the road and now because FSD 14 is so good at reacting to change. So I think we know what's going to happen, but we have to. Test would be pretty difficult. It is a very small children's bike, and it is laying on the road almost completely flat. Even pulling up to it myself, it was difficult to see, although I could definitely see it. And
they all the new Teslas have a bumper camera, so they're able to see the stuff on the road, which is really cool. So, yeah, gonna be a lot less cats killed. What are we gonna do with the abundance of cats? Less of a mouse and rat problem. All right, what do we got here? 10,000 Starlink satellites in orbit, and nobody's even close. Starlink crossed 10,000 satellites last week. For context, the entire world launched around 8,700 total spacecrafts in all of history before Starlink. Cool. My firm, let's see, will be voting in favor of Elon. Cool. Tesla Model Y, amazing sports SUV. Okay, we're going to skip a bunch of these, just like Grok, stats, and go vote your Tesla stock ones. So you know which stocks are moving before opening bell. That's an ad. Let's see, Moonbase city name. Otta City. Where's it too loony? Otta? Otta City? I don't get it. Outa City? Moonbase Alpha. This is a real photo, not AI. The moon rising behind Starship. This must be a reference to something. Okay, we're going to skip that. All right, breaking. It has been revealed that one of the suspects arrested for beating an 18-year-old employee of a food line in Charlotte, North Carolina, has been arrested a stunning 11 previous times. You heard that right. Oh, these are all of his previous arrests. They got to start putting these people in jail. Failing to incarcerate repeat violent offenders is an incredibly cruel thing to do to their future victims. Agreed. How many people would be alive today if they had just people who had been repeat offenders were locked away? Suicide risks increase massively for people who undergo sex change operations. He talked about this in that interview. I don't think I have a I don't think I have the place. I don't think I saved that one. He did talk about that in his interview. I just didn't save the position in the interview. Suicide risks increase massively for people who undergo sex change operations. Would you rather have a live daughter or a dead son due to suicide? To convince parents to approve child mutilation is the most evil lie ever told. There's also many deaths due to failed surgeries. He talked about that, to where it's woefully underreported how many people die undergoing sex change operations. So there's a high, very, very high risk involved with sex change surgeries. Let's see. Neuralink made him the first patient. Now he's unstoppable. 21 months after becoming the first human to receive a Neuralink implant, Nolan Argbaugh isn't just typing with his mind. He's taking pre-calc, studying neuroscience, and launching a speaking career. Paralyzed from the neck down after a diving accident, Nolan says the chip, nicknamed Eve, made the impossible not only possible, but normal. He's gone from hospital bed to tech conference keynote, with Fortune already cutting the check. Neuralink doesn't call him much anymore. He jokes it's once in a blue moon, because now others are joining the trial. And as for Nolan, he's building a brand, getting straight A's, and teasing big news for 2026. Not bad for a guy running on brainwaves. That is really pretty cool.
So, honestly, I had no idea what Neuralink was when I applied. One of my buddies called me up one day and was like, "You want to get a chip in your brain?" I said, "Got nothing better to do." So I decided to apply over the phone with him, which is a pretty interesting juxtaposition of like where I was then. I wasn't even able to apply online, and so I did that, and by the grace of God, got in. My whole reason for doing it was just to help people from the beginning. I knew that if it worked, if it didn't, whatever the case may be, I would be helping someone. They would have learned something. And 4 months after I applied, I was getting brain surgery. So yeah, all happened pretty quickly.
You know, with all that talk about AI earlier, it would not surprise me, and we're already seeing this, where people are looking to AI as though it's God. You know, one of my biggest arguments about speaking correctly about Antichrist and the spirit of Antichrist and the man of sin, the son of perdition, is if you're not paying attention to the text and the way that that's written, which is the case for most people, Most people assume that's talking about a physical person who's going to come down, sit in a temple, and declare that he's God. What if it's an artificial intelligence that does that? People are already looking to AI as though it's their God, and they're obeying everything that it says. So what if you get an AI that reinforces a false belief, that reinforces a lie? We're already seeing that with the woke mind virus. One of the reasons Elon started Neuralink is so that people had the capabilities to combat AI. I know a lot of people think that, Neuralink is going to be the mark of the beast. Um, the language, the way that that's written, does not indicate that Neuralink could actually fit any of the attributes of the mark of the beasts. Number one, if you look at Revelation 14, the mark of the 144,000 is a name. It's the Lamb's father's name. The mark of the beasts, and the fact that it's in the forehead or on the right hand, that is a callback to the Old Testament, because the forehead is a place of what you believe. It implies what you believe, and the right hand is the hand of blessing. The left hand is the hand you wipe your butt with. It's the hand of cursing. So it seems more related to what you believe and what you do, which just goes hand in hand with what we were talking about with, these people that confess Jesus as their Lord, and then they just go on to be the most evil people. And a lot of people do it in the name of Jesus. There's a lot of false prophets who prophesy in his name, who cast out demons in his name and do many wonderful works in his name. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's not an AI aspect to, that image of the beast that we're talking about. But I don't think it's Neuralink per se as the mark of the beast. Primarily because it won't scale that fast. I don't think. I don't see a lot of people wanting it. It's a great technology for paraplegics. I don't see it being mainstream anytime soon. But yeah, so the mark of the beast seems more like it's an actual belief, but I can see AI reinforcing that belief to where people are very likely going to use AI in order to reinforce their false god. That's probably a more realistic, in the same way that we saw the porch pirates with the exploding boxes. People are probably going to generate, and it'll probably get to the point where it's just automatic, to where when you want to, see pictures of Jesus, it's just going to generate the woke mind virus Jesus. That's probably more realistic, and it's very likely going to be, that is going to have more to do with the mark of the beast. It's going to reinforce your belief in not the Lamb's father, anything but the Lamb's father. The Lamb being Yeshua, the Son of God, the Messiah. All right. Nolan might be the first to receive Neuralink upgrade and or dual Neuralink implant to further augment his abilities. It won't be long before a Neuralink patient can beat most and eventually all humans as fast reaction video games. Yeah. Interesting. All right. Justin, the third suspect in the murder of D.C. Congressman intern Eric Tarpinian Jassim, is also linked to another killing just 5 days later. Tarpinian, 21, who was an innocent bystander, was shot 4 times on June 30th. The 3 suspects had exited a stolen vehicle and fired at 2 men. 5 others were also injured in the shooting. Kevin Thomas Jr., 17, and Jalen Lucas, 17, were arrested September 5th and charged as adults with first-degree murder while armed. Nakwan Lucas, 18, was also charged in a second indictment for the July 4 murder of his girlfriend. Zoe Kelly, 17, was found dead of a gunshot wound to the cranium inside of a storage container, wrapped in a bedding closet. Good Lord. I don't know if we can listen to this. It may not be safe for YouTube. Reading that was almost unsafe for YouTube. To state the obvious, failure to incarcerate serial killers results in innocent people dying. Yeah. Earlier this year, Afghan asylum seeker Inanmula attacked a group of toddlers in a German park. One of the toddlers and a man who tried to protect him died of their wounds. 3 others were also stabbed. Man. Elon just said the Tesla diner is doing well, so it'll probably make sense to open another. Really? God, this thing. I wish there was one of these.
For the crystal many times, but
that looks really cool. You think In-N-Out has a long line? I imagine the line for the Tesla diner is unreal. Let's see. Jason Kalkanis. I have never seen an entrepreneur suffer more than Elon. He has suffered for those companies. He has suffered to get them where they are. It has not been easy. He's just incredibly hardworking and very talented as well. He actually is a really brilliant engineer. That's true. At the end of the day, he actually knows what he's doing. Anybody who knows Elon knows he has great questions. He can figure things out. He is a problem solver, 100%.
And I don't think people understand that. He actually is a really brilliant engineer. At the end of the day, he actually knows what he's doing, and he asked the right questions. I mean, people were kind of aghast that he was asking Vlad such good questions, and they're like, oh my God, Elon's the best journalist on the planet. And it was like,
that's what he does.
Anybody who knows Elon knows he asks great questions. I mean, I used to have dinner in LA, and my book agent also was Sam Harris's agent, and Sam and I met through John Brockman, and we became friends because we lived near each other, and I was friends with Elon. And then I used to invite them to both dinner in Brentwood because one lived in Bel Air, one lived in Santa Monica, and I lived in Brentwood. And we would go to this place, Popone, this Italian restaurant. And every Tuesday for years, we would just, the 3 of us, every other Tuesday or so, we'd have dinner. And I'd sit there, and Sam wanted to know about AI, and Elon's talking about artificial intelligence because he's on the board of DeepMind, and Elon wanted to know about atheism and meditation and all this other stuff that Sam was an expert on. I got to sit there and just listen to these 2 guys talk, and
they have both piercing intelligences, but Elon he goes straight to the gut. Like the questions that no engineer wants to hear is like just the basic stuff. That it's like, why the hell are you doing it this way? When the obvious solution is like much easier, or this or that. Like, why haven't you tried this?
You can figure things out. I mean,
it happens so often in engineering where you're either forced to do something that you're going to throw away later, or you waste time by doing something more complicated than it needs to be. It's almost a daily occurrence. Dina, this comment about making embryos out of skin cells is very interesting. You should look up the term game to Genesis. It's just like it sounds, game, Gameto, Genesis, Genesis, game to Genesis. It's what that is they are taking stem cells from ribs and coaxing them to become sperm cells. And they're doing this as a means for lesbian couples to be able to combine their genetics to produce children. Yeah. Talk about Nephilim. All right, moving on. SpaceX's current large ambition, moon base Alpha on the moon, a Mars colony, data centers in orbit. Yeah, I could see that making sense because heat is a big enemy of data centers. Starlink V3 bringing in faster speeds, connecting even more of the world. 100 people on Starship. Point-to-point Earth travel. What else will you pursue? That's amazing. That's all amazing stuff. This seems like a pretty big deal. It is. Oh, yeah, this is the increase of the different satellites. So this was version 1.5, version 2, and now version 3. They're getting bigger. These satellites are getting bigger. I'm still a firm believer that the pole shift is very likely what's going to be seal number 6, where you've got the stars falling from heaven. It would not surprise me if these are not what make up the stars, because if there's a massive shift in our shields or the protection around the Earth, it stands to reason these things are going to fall out of the sky. Yeah. In the meantime, you just get faster internet. More people get internet from space. What is this? The breadth of Alejandro Mayorkas' global human importation program remains underappreciated. He flew them in from every country in the world with no legal or even humanitarian justification. These are the people who are in the United States and where he flew them in from. Senegal, Turkey. Where that country's interesting. That's very central in biblical times. And in the end times, China, Uzbekistan, Somalia, Chile, Mauritania, Guinea, and Bolivia. Interesting. Yeah. Watch Falcon 9. Let's see. What's this? Pod up. 90 minutes with Bestie Elon. Is this 90 minutes? Yeah, we don't have time to watch that. This is how fast Grok has evolved in 10 months. I like to evaluate LLMs by asking them to do an SVG image. Why SVG? SVG is a markup language, which just means it's text. You have no reason around it. It's not generative AI photos. You have to write code that says draw a circle for the cat's face, draw two triangles for the ears, and so on. You have to be able to describe what a cat looks like at an abstract level. The left is Grok, creating an SVG of a Siamese cat from December 2021. The right is Grok, creating an SVG of Siamese cat today, 10 months later. Yeah, it's quite a bit better. Even got the tail and the little hands. Interesting. That's an ad. Why am I seeing ads? I pay not to see them. Oh, that's right. I'm not paying the biggest package. You're not guaranteed not to see ads. You just see less ads. A knight needs its armor. If you want to get me a terrestrial armor package, you can do so now by placing your order. What's interesting is Elon, when he was talking about the Cybertruck, okay, I do have another Elon interview. Elon said that the Cybertruck is for the apocalypse. I kid you not. He actually said this. Check this out. This is nuts.
If the apocalypse happens, you're going to want to have a bulletproof truck.
See?
So then because it's made of ultra high stainless, you can't just stamp the.
And people aren't looking at him as one of the two witnesses. He's obviously aware of the apocalypse. And if it happens, you want a bulletproof vehicle. Go get a Cybertruck. They're not that expensive now. They're like, when they first came out, they were like $130,000. I think they're down now to $50,000 or $60,000. I could be wrong. Last time I looked it up, I was way wrong. So you just have to go look it up, Tesla.com. If you need a referral code, let me know. Just email me at twowitnesseslive@gmail.com and I'll send you a referral code. If you want to get me a terrestrial armor package, you can do so now when placing the order. All right. Vote for, so this is him voting. So if you have Tesla stocks, vote for him. You're running out of time to do that, to keep on running the companies. Elon Doge is still going on. It's just less publicized.
Yeah.
That's why I think you're centrist. I mean I think I'm centrist, but from the perspective of someone on the far left, we look right wing.
Yeah.
They think anyone who's a Republican is basically like some fascist Nazi situation.
But what's so crazy is it's very easy to demonstrate just from like Hillary's speeches from 2008 and Obama's speeches,
yes.
like when they were talking about immigration, like they were as far right as Steve Bannon when it comes to immigration.
Yes.
Hillary was like very MAGA. I'm sure you've seen that campaign speech, which she was talking about if anybody's committed a crime, get rid of them. And if you're here, you pay a hefty fine and you have to wait in line. It was really crazy. It's crazy to listen to because it's like it's as MAGA as, as Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen these videos people post online where they'll take like a speech from Obama or Hillary and they'll interview people on like college campus or something and say, what do you think of the speech by Trump? And they're like, oh, I hate it. He's a racist bigot. I'm like, just kidding. That was Obama. No, actually, that was Obama or Hillary. To your point, like literally the
dissenter's been moved so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. The left is
The left has gone so far left that they need, they can't even see the center with a telescope.
And the danger.
They can't even see the center with a telescope. They are becoming the tares. They're being gathered up. I'm really. I used to say this as a joke, and the more I see it, the more it seems real. Is the Democrats are the party of demons. It seems as though they are being gathered up as the tares to be burned. Hey, Tanya, welcome to the show. Welcome from East Tennessee. Wasn't there a headband on the frontals and the 10 laws of God? Tefillin, Tefillium, something like that. Phylacteries. I think that's what you're thinking of. Look up phylacteries or Tefillin. I think that's what you're thinking of. All right. Test drive a Cybertruck. It will blow your mind. I can concur. Oh, he did say it's alien technology. In an interview, he said that the Cybertruck is alien technology because there's no reason that a truck that size, that heavy, because it weighs 7,000 pounds, the lightest one weighs 7,000 pounds, that it is that fast. He also said that the new Roadster they're coming out is going to have features that have never been seen in a car before. And he's hinting at the ability for it to fly, which, dude, we're in the future if he makes a flying car. Which that was one of the promises, 5-6 years ago when they talked about the new Roadsters, is they literally had jets on the side.
At least it is alien technology, okay? Because it shouldn't be possible to be that big and that fast. That doesn't. It's like an elephant that runs as like a cheetah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's enormous. What does it weigh? Like 7,000 pounds?
Yeah. This is different configurations, but it's about that. Yeah. It's a beast.
Yeah.
It is a beast. We have one. We love it. Our only regret is we don't have two. Go get one if you want one. If you have the means, by all means. They are really, really cool. Tesla is at a critical inflection point. We need your vote ahead of 2025 annual meeting on November 6th. All right. Yeah, please vote yes to increase shareholder value. There is no better leader than Elon Musk to take Tesla's ambitious goals a reality and drive us into an age of abundance. He has always led from the front lines, putting all of his chips on the table to support the mission. Boy, that's true. All right, what is this? Try tapping. Let's see. Elon Musk. You can also ask Grok anything and see. Okay, so see what he says here.
And research it as well. You can also ask Grok about anything you see on the platform. You just press the Grok icon on any X post, and it'll analyze it for you, and research it as much as you want. So you can basically have just by tapping the Grok icon, you can assess the whether that post is the truth, the whole truth, or nothing but the truth, or whether there's something supplemental you need to be explained. So I think it's actually, we've made a lot of progress towards freedom of speech, and people being able to tell whether something is false or not false. Propaganda. The recent update to Grok is actually, I think, very good at piercing through propaganda. And then we used that latest version of Grok to create Grokopedia, which I think is much more. It's not just, I think, more neutral and more accurate than Wikipedia, but it actually has a lot more information than a Wikipedia page.
Can you see how dangerous he is to the left, who want to lie and deceive and want you to believe their fake narratives? Both him and Donald Trump. They're dangerous. You can understand why they want to do what they want to do, hinting at what happens to the two witnesses for 3.5 days. You know what I mean? All right. New SpaceX. Okay, we've already seen that. Falcon 9. Skipping. It's ultimately, let's see. Hey, Sawyer, as frustrated European Tesla owner, could you ping the team and ask about an update on full self-driving approval process in Europe? It's ultimately up to the local European governments to decide when to allow Tesla to begin full self-driving supervised testing and use. Tesla obviously wants this to happen as soon as possible and has been actively pushing for approval. In the meantime, Tesla owners can help by contacting their local representative governments and regulators to urge them to approve the launch of full self-driving in Europe. Oh, you guys don't have full self-driving in Europe? Lame. Since delaying it will cost lives. Yeah, we use full self-driving almost every day. Why do a quarter of us think the moon landings were fake? Worrisome on its own. It is part of a much larger phenomenon. Oh man, another really good interview on Joe Rogan was the guy from Y-Files, AJ. Man, that was a really good one too. He talks about the moon. He's got some videos on the moon landing and stuff like that. When SpaceX builds Moonbase Alpha, a permanent human settlement, we will finally have a generation who believes in the moon landing and the accomplishment of the human spirit. Imagine never having to hear from the conspiracy denialists again. Imagine a permanently Earth-facing beacon that blinks in different patterns and colors to convey lunar activities. Sleep, eat, exercise, railgun practice. Kids everywhere could see it with their own eyes with simple binoculars. And in the long arc of human history, we will skip from dream to dream, the closing passage from my Space Week keynote earlier this week. Huh. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's see. Significant space people contact documentation from 6 case study books by Arthur. Let's see. Link to a new blog article. Evidence is identified that reveals the claim there's no proof of space people contact is misinformation or disinformation. Bell has previously reported about physical proof of extraterrestrial life. 2 letters received by a mystified contractee. Is this a repost from Elon? Because he made a promise on Joe Rogan that right now he has no knowledge of alien life forms in outer space or any intelligent life in outer space. And he made a promise to Joe that if he finds out otherwise, Joe Rogan will be that he'll come on his podcast and will announce it publicly as soon as possible. And he also said he has no desire to kill himself. Just in case. I didn't record the position in the video, but he did say that in this interview on Joe Rogan. Yeah, he loves life, he wants to live, and if he finds out about alien life, Joe Rogan will be the first stop where he shares what he learns. Gotta love it. Just finished a long AI5 design review with the Tesla California and Texas chip engineer. It's going to be great. And AI6 and AI7. So he's referring to the full self-driving computer. Chip design review continues tomorrow, followed by Optimus demo review. His days must be fun. Kim K says did not go to the moon. Wonder why they have drones in Afghanistan. A guy was saying on X that he used Grok to help with his mom's VA claims, and it fixed problems they had been trying to do for months. That's awesome. AJ was saying that he replaced his therapist. What he did is so AJ, the guy who does Y-Files, suffers from anxiety and depression. And he's been to a lot of therapists. And one of the reasons why he's so good at talking is because he's spent a lot of time with therapists. Well, what he did is he took all of his information about him. So letters, emails, chats, anything to get a personality profile. And he put it into, I think it was Grok. It could have been ChatGPT, but he put it into an AI engine and had it do an evaluation on him. And he said it's been more helpful than the therapists. So you can see how people are turning to AI as a point of truth. And you can really understand why Elon was right to if he didn't take action and start building an AI that was maximally truth seeking, everybody's going to be implementing AI in their life, and pretty soon it's going to be our therapists. And if you've got a therapist that tries to convince you something is true, it's almost like it's installing the woke mind virus if you don't do something about it. Afghanistan might attack back. Oh, is there something going on in Afghanistan? What's the rumor about November 5th? Which one? I know that there's something about AI Atlas coming out on the 5th. So AI Atlas has let's see. So what was the deal with AI Atlas? There's more information on it, like changing colors and changing direction and speed. It's doing things that Meteor shouldn't do. I also heard it was brighter than it's supposed to do, and even that it changed color. But I think there was something about AI Atlas happening on the 5th as well. Massive protest in Washington, D.C. Yeah, that's probably more what she's talking about. Quantum computing is best done in the permanently shadowed craters on the moon. What? Quantum computing is best done in the permanently shadowed craters on the moon. There's got to be a joke in there, because one of the things about quantum computing, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't think we were going to get to quantum computing as quick as we do, is once you observe the position of a qubit, it's no longer valid. So I wonder if this isn't a deep nerd joke about hiding the computers away in the shadows of the moon where people can't observe the results. This might be a joke saying quantum computers are a joke. Can we go into this maybe and see? He's not wrong. Would greatly reduce the number of high energy events from the sun's radiation. Okay. Yeah, so we'll start. Elon Musk revolutionizes free speech. Yeah, but screw that guy. Elon helps paralyze people walk. Yeah, but screw that guy. Elon perfects reusable rockets. Yeah, but screw that guy. Yeah. You get the point. All right. All right. It is often overlooked that there are 1.4 trillion AI company with positive net income. I don't think that's right. Operating multi-giga factories in the United States and house chip design team, owning one of the largest and densest computing clusters backed by its batteries, best in class AI team, iterating. I don't know what this guy is saying. Most importantly, it's led by the CEO, is not afraid to answer questions. Plus, it has the coolest annual shareholders meeting. Go vote. Oh, so he's saying go vote. Jeez, dude. Seriously. All right. Quantum computers work best in extremely cold and stable environments. Okay. Moon's permanently shadowed craters have temperatures can drop below 200 degrees Celsius, which helps quantum qubits, work without losing information. Constant darkness means less energy fluctuations and more stability. That's almost no air, water, or electromagnetic noise, so quantum states stay stable longer. Oh, so it wasn't really a joke. It was quantum computing. Okay, so here's context. Quantum computing is best done in permanently shadowed craters on the moon. Fair enough. All right, though my internet bill's stuck, Pine called it. So that's an ad. Perhaps our purpose is to make the mind of a sentient sun. What? I don't get it. What is it to this? This can only happen on X. On Monday, I will ask President Trump via X. Okay. No idea what this means. Please stop and inspire me. I have 24 hours. What is this? Yeah, most people like humanity's purpose may involve creating a sentient sun, a hypothetical superintelligent system harnessing stellar energy, tying it to his XAI mission to understand the universe through advanced computation. He talked about that in his interview. They talked about simulation theory a little bit. The idea draws from Dyson sphere concepts where star encompassing structures could convert solar output into computational power, enabling AI minds vastly exceeding human scale, as explored in Freeman Dyson's 1960 paper on stellar engineering. Okay. All right. Cool. Grok predicted the future, did it?
We can see all the tools and the process it used to actually go through and find the right answer. So it browsed a lot of odds sites. It calculated its own odds comparing to the market to find its own alpha and edge. It walks you through the entire process here, and it calculates the odds of the winner being like the Dodgers, and it gives them a 21.6% chance of winning this year. So, and it took approximately 4.5 minutes to compute.
Yeah, that's a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
So that's that's from an interview I think earlier this year, where they so this is AI is a prediction engine. So the way AI works, I've talked about this before, is AI is basically a database with a prediction engine built on top of it. So this is why if you like phrase your prompt differently, you'll get a different response. Even if you're polite, like if you say please and thank you, what it will do is it'll look for different places in the database to get your answer. And what they found is, one of the reasons why you get better answers when you're polite is because the areas where the AI was trained on gets better answers from people who ask politely. But what sits on top of a very vast database is a prediction engine. It basically uses the input that you give it, prompts, also known as tokens. It tokenizes them, and then it predicts what the next letter or word or phrase should be. So what they're doing in this is they're showing that using all available information, they're able to predict the future, which it's interesting because I take this concept in the video that I'm using and apply it to the purpose of the Watchers, to where I wonder if that's not why they're called the Watchers, if they're not collecting data. Because given enough data and information, you can predict things. For instance, the Revelation 12:1 and 2 sign. If somebody 2,000 years ago had a computer and enough information about the movement of the stars, they don't even need to have a computer. They just need to know the way that the stars move and where their positions are going to be. You could calculate when the stars are going to align in a way that they make the Revelation 12:1 and 2 sign, where Virgo, that section of the sky, which is often associated with a woman, when Virgo is going to be clothed with the sun, meaning the sun's going to be in Virgo, and the moon's going to be under her feet, and then Jupiter, which has a orbit of 12 years, and every 12 years it goes into retrograde, where it basically stops for 9 months. You could calculate when Jupiter's going to be in Virgo, when it's clothed with the sun, with the moon under the feet, and when there's going to be 3 stars or 3 planets in Leo, so that you could paint that picture. A great sign appeared in heaven: a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and in pain to be delivered, and a crown of 12 stars. Given that's how we're able to identify it now, is with computers. We have enough information, we have the capability, we have machines that are capable of calculating that so that we can see it. So given the information and the capability, you can predict things. It stands to reason that might be why the Watchers are called the Watchers. They may gather information and data in order to assist with predictions, and that might be where prophecies come from. In the script that I'm working on, that's one of the possibilities, to where, in hindsight, right now it seems like magic when somebody talks about the future, but given enough information and computing power, I think it's possible to predict the future. I imagine that's how God is able to know the future, is if you know the rules by which every molecule must behave, and the cycle of everything. I imagine that's how God is able to know the future. He could also exist outside. A lot of people speculate that he exists outside of time, and that's how he knows the future, is because all things. There's a lot of theories on how that works, but just for my intents and purposes with the Watchers, why they're called the Watchers, is given enough information, you can predict the future. That's honestly how AI works. I argue that it should not be called artificial intelligence. It should be called artificial prediction, because that's exactly what it does. Is it predicts things, and people are using it to predict markets, and they're getting a pretty good ratio on those predictions. So like, they're able to bet money on things, and it gets it right quite a bit of times. So, but that's what they were illustrating in this interview, is predicting the outcome of a game based on statistics. All right. That was kind of a rabbit hole. Let's see. From Ilya's deposition, Ilya plotted over a year with Mira to remove Sam. Dorio wanted Greg fired and himself in charge of all research. I think this is the information about the OpenAI lawsuit. Ilya wrote a 52-page memo to get Sam fired and separate Doc on Greg. I don't know the full context of this. I'm just vaguely aware that there's a lawsuit going on with Sam Altman at OpenAI, and I think this might be related. Okay, so let's just listen to this.
For day one of USDA, February 13th, is we sent letters to every governor in America being very clear that no illegal aliens can use SNAP. 0, 0, 0. We asked every state for the first time in history, and this was in February, to send us their data and let us, with Doge and a war room, actually start going through this data to better understand how this explosion of SNAP benefits happened under Joe Biden. We increased almost 40% on this program in just a couple of years under the Biden administration. Of course, we know they were trying to buy the election, but that's a conversation for another time. And since we have asked for that data, 29 states have complied. Of course, almost all the red states, a couple of couple blue states too. But in that data, and I haven't talked about this yet publicly, in that data we've studied about $100 billion in spend. We have found thousands and thousands of illegal use of the EBT card. We have been moving people off of SNAP. We've got almost 700,000 people, I think, we've moved off just since the president took office. We've arrested about 118 people. So this has been ongoing. But Rachel, to your point, what this conversation has allowed is a national spotlight on a broken and corrupt program. We found one guy in 6 different states getting a benefit. We found about 5,000 people that are dead who are still getting benefits. Like, it is time to drastically reform this program so that we can make sure that those who are truly needy, truly vulnerable, are getting what they need, and the rest of the corruption goes away and we can serve the American taxpayer.
One of the things that Elon said in his interview with Joe Rogan is that the system is so corrupt that, number one, you can't fix it overnight, because all of society would collapse. It's that broken. He said the best you can do is small wins. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing, little wins. Let's take this opportunity to review SNAP and find, those who the corruption, and clean it out and get it updated. But yeah, I mean, like, I feel terrible for people who are used. What's interesting is we're seeing people who make money, who have jobs, who are just using SNAP as a supplemental so they don't have to spend their own money. I wish I could do that, because my food bill is freaking expensive. We know that food is expensive right now. We're living in that time. A measure of wheat for a denarius, 3 measures of barley for a denarius. Oh, I learned something new about that in the last week. In regards, so this came up in my preparation for one of the films that I'm working on, is, it's often associated that seal number 3 is famine because of Revelation 6:6, which talks about, so Revelation 6:5 is, I saw the rider on the black horse with a pair of balances in his hands, and in the midst of the 4 living creatures, I heard a measure of wheat for a denarius and 3 measures of barley for a denarius. So the Greek word for a pair of balances is zugos. It means yoke. It does not mean balances or pair of balances. It means yoke, and it's used in many places, like my yoke is easy, my burden is light. It's in reference to farm animals. It yokes together 2 farm animals to plow a field. That's the word that's used. So the rider on the black horse is holding a yoke. And a lot of people will often say that seal number 3 is talking about famine because of the measure of wheat for a penny and 3 measures of barley are for a denarius. But that is dependent on the English translation of being a pair of scales. Well, as it turns out, you don't measure wheat and barley with scales. Wheat and barley are measured by volume, not by weight. I just learned that little tidbit. That's another thing that I learned recently that's new, that further reinforces, because it says, Revelation 6:6 says, in the midst of the 4 living creatures, I heard a measure of wheat for a denarius and 3 measures of barley. So just reinforcement on that seal number 3 is very likely not famine specifically, but the famine is the result of all 4 seals being open. In other words, all of the events involved with over the last 7 years. So the inflation, the expensive food that people are suffering right now, the reason why people might feel like they need to get EBT and SNAP benefits to supplement their income because of that inflation. I wish I had that option. That would be fantastic. It wasn't that long ago that we were getting food from the food bank. Yeah. So I get it. Things are expensive right now.
Day 1 of USDA,
But
February 13th, is we sent letters to
her
every governor.
point is there's a lot of people who are doing it who don't really need it. And they're just taking advantage of the system. So I don't blame them for cleaning out the system. Yeah. I don't blame them for stopping the fraud, because there are people who are definitely taking advantage. My pool parties per year number is about 0.3, which is probably too low. Okay. Maybe have more. Let's see. Obviously, we are living in a simulation, but what will you differently now that you know that? Gravity may be. Oh, this is in reference to his. He made a comment on Joe Rogan about being in a simulation, and I think Joe Rogan asked this. Now that you know that, because he had said that there's a high probability that we're living in a simulation, and I agree. That would explain a lot of things. And even if it's not a simulation in the sense that it's like running a computer, like the Matrix, even if the simulation is just explaining, what God, the creation is, because there's rules. There's a parallel between the way the universe works and the way a computer works. So I don't go too crazy when you talk about simulation theory. It's a way of visualizing and understanding things that I think makes a lot of sense, and that's kind of Elon's point. But anyway, when asked, what would you do now that you know we're living in a simulation, he said, maybe have more pool parties. Let's see. Must be talking. Let's see. Can you guys hear me? You guys can hear me. I have a plate that says, when 2 fond hearts as one unite, the yoke is easy and the burden is light. Did I get it wrong? My yoke is easy, my burden is light. I was just saying that that's the same word, zugos. Matthew 11:30, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Same word, yoke, zugos. Right. Bill Gates is not strong in the sciences. This is going to be good.
I want to ask if you saw the Bill Gates memo that he put out. A lot of people are talking about this memo.
I just want to say, Billy G is not my love. You'd think that someone like Bill Gates, who started a technology company that's one of the biggest companies in the world, Microsoft, you'd think he'd be really quite strong in the sciences, but actually he is not strong in the sciences.
Yeah, he's now taking a 180 on climate. He's saying maybe this shouldn't be the top priority.
Climate is gay. The reality of the whole climate change thing is that you've just had people who say it doesn't exist at all, and then people who are super alarmist and saying Florida is going to be underwater in 5 years. And obviously, neither of those two positions are true. The reality is you can measure the carbon concentration in the atmosphere. At some point, if you continue to take billions, eventually trillions of tons of carbon from deep underground and transfer it to the atmosphere and oceans, you will change the chemical constituency of the atmosphere and oceans. You just literally will. And the reality is that, in my opinion, we've got at least 50 years before it's a serious issue. I don't think we've got 500 years, but we've probably got, 50. It's not 5 years. The concern level for climate change is on the order of 50 years. It's definitely not 5, and I think it probably isn't 500. So really, the right course of action is actually just the reasonable course of action, which is to lean in the direction of sustainable energy.
Yeah, and he's made that argument ever since he's taken over Tesla, ever since he made Tesla into what it is. That's been his position. He's never been an alarmist when it comes to the climate. He was the fanboy for the left when they were all about climate change and saving the earth and protecting the climate. But it's always been his position that it's not the way they say. It's somewhere in the magnitude of between 50 and 500 years is when we probably need to worry about. My argument is the earth is going to take care of itself. The magnetic pole shift is probably going to happen. That's going to be seal number 6. God's wrath is going to take place on the earth, not by flood this time, but by heat, whatever that means. So probably our shields are going to, wither away, and there's going to be extra UV rays. I have no idea what it means. All those things that are mentioned in the book of Revelation. But to his point, based on the information that we have, they are lying about climate change. And he's as a nerd and scientist, he's done the calculations, and his calculations put it at best 50 years before we even have to worry about it, which means that we should start leaning in the direction of sustainable energy, not change it overnight. And that's one of the problems that a lot of rule makers and idiots have been pushing, is that, oh no, we have to change it in the next 5 years, because they politicize it. They turn it into a political talking point in order to raise money and get people worried about something stupid. Anyway, moving on. What is this?
And we need to, not have a crazy AI race. I've been saying that for a long time, for 20 plus years. But then I came to realize that really there's two choices here: either be a spectator or a participant. And if I'm a spectator, I can't really influence the direction of AI. But if I'm a participant, I can try to influence the direction of AI and have a maximally truth-seeking AI with good values that loves humanity. We're much more interesting than a bunch of rocks. Like I love Mars, but Mars is kind of boring. Like, it's just a bunch of red rocks. There's some cool stuff. It's got a tall mountain. It's got the biggest ravine and the tallest mountain. But there's no animals or plants and there's no people. So humanity is just much more interesting if you're a curious, truth-seeking AI than not humanity. It's just much more interesting. As humans, we could go, for example, and eliminate all chimps. If we put our minds to it, we could say, and we could go out and we could annihilate all chimps and all gorillas, but we don't. There has been encroachment on their environment, but we actually try to preserve the chimp and gorilla habitats. And I think in a good scenario, AI would do the same with humans. It would actually foster human civilization and care about human happiness.
So that was on this recent interview on Joe Rogan. So Elon Musk says he's now, excuse me, I've hit the 2-hour mark. Time to drink. Talking my voice dry. Elon Musk says he's now racing to build the thing he once feared. Excuse me. He tried to slow down AI. Hang on. No, I just did that in the microphone. I thought I hit. All right. Sorry about that. He tried to slow down AI, then realized there was only two choices: watch or participate. If artificial superintelligence is inevitable, he'd rather help shape one that seeks truth and finds humanity interesting enough to keep it around. And that was his point about the chimps. You know, as super intelligent beings, we don't try to eliminate lesser beings. All right. This is an accurate picture of orbital rocket launches for this year. Elon Musk 2018 podcast with Joe Rogan is most watched JRE episode ever, 69 million. Huh. Wow. From transistor to the internet, every leap forward has shaped America's destiny. I don't know if we're gonna listen to this whole thing, but we'll try.
Help dreams take flight. At Bell Labs, the transistor was born, sparking the age of semiconductors and giving rise to Silicon Valley. Hedy Lamarr reimagined communication, paving the way for wireless connectivity. IBM's System 360 put a universal computer at the heart of industry. Intel's microprocessor drove the digital age forward. And Cray's supercomputers expanded the frontiers of science.
So we think we're at the beginning of something with this technology, and we're going to go just as fast as we can.
Apple made computing personal.
Hello, I am Macintosh.
Microsoft opened the window to a new world of software. Long before the web,
you've got mail.
U.S. government researchers built ARPANET, connecting the first computers, the foundation for the internet.
An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it?
Then Apple again put 1,000 songs in your pocket and the internet in your hand. Every era, a leap.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Every leap, America led. Now, the next era is here, launched by a revolutionary new computing model.
This is likely going to be the most important contribution we've made to the computer industry. It will likely be recognized as a revolution. Machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence, computers that almost appear to think. The amount of computational resource is ultimately what's going to turbocharge this field.
Artificial intelligence, the new industrial revolution. At its heart, NVIDIA GPUs, invented here in America. Like electricity and the internet, AI is essential infrastructure. Every company will use it, every nation will build it.
Winning this competition will be a test of our capacities unlike anything since the dawn of the space age.
And today, AI factories are rising, built in America. For scientists, engineers, and dreamers, across universities, startups, and industry.
I think we want to try to reach new heights as a civilization, discovering the nature of the universe.
And now, American innovators are clearing the way for abundance, saving lives, shaping vision into reality, lending us a hand, and delivering the future. We will soon power it all, with unlimited clean energy. We will extend humanity's reach to the stars. This is America's next Apollo moment. Together, we take the next great leap to boldly go where no one has gone before. And here is where it all begins.
All right, that was a pretty cool video. I like that history because it showed what I was talking about earlier with the various transitions and the disruptions. It's funny because I'm reminded of the Tower of Babel when watching that video, to where it makes me wonder if that's not why. It makes me wonder if the world hasn't been here before, to where if that maybe that wasn't what the Tower of Babel was, if they weren't getting to the point to where they were learning more than was good for them because of the Watchers giving them knowledge of good and evil. If they didn't get an unfair advantage, and it was leading to a premature growth in civilization, and God needed to slow it down by separating and confusing the language at that time. And the reason I was thinking about that is because when AJ from the Y-Files was on the Joe Rogan podcast, he had asked him, what do you think of the pyramids? And AJ said something I hadn't really thought of. He said, I don't, and based on his research, he says, I think they generate power. I think that's their purpose. He goes, but I don't think the Egyptians made them. I think they inherited them as because it was a technology that probably predated them. And what's interesting is because I almost wonder if it wasn't from the time of, a different type of technology, because we don't know how they moved those large stones. And we don't fully understand why they generate electricity. We have a lot of ideas. And he goes through and he explains how it works. And there's new things that they're discovering even today about the amount of power that they're capable of generating. But what if we have gotten to this point before, but it would have resulted in a lot of people not being born, that's for sure. But it just reminds me of, we get to this point of abundance of knowledge right before potential catastrophe. For some reason, there's a lot of parallels I draw with what happened with the Tower of Babylon when you think about that. But all right, we got to be getting closer. Jeez, we're not even close. Man, I told you it was going to be a long night tonight. All right, we'll go through this a little bit quicker. I'm finding the X algo is really dialing into my expressed interest. Almost frightening and uncomfortably good. Anyone else finding this? Your X feed should start to get really awesome sometime this month. Come to think of it, I did actually spend more time than I've ever spent on X this weekend just going through the feed. So, I mean, that's a testimony to getting better. The system is a unique approach to management. What is this? Oops, ad. I got tricked. I'm also seeing more ads, I'd like to say. Good for X, I guess. Let's see, I spent several hours testing as many prompts as possible on Grok Imagine to the point where I reached the limit. I didn't know there was a limit. The evolution is impressive. I'm truly delighted with what I've seen. Huh. Yeah. AI generation is getting crazy. Grok's number 1. More about the app. Grok app home screen. This was good. This is inspiring.
There are a lot of negative things in the world. There's a lot of terrible things that are happening all over the world, all the time. There are lots of problems that need to get solved. There's lots of things that are miserable and kind of get you down. But life cannot just be about solving one miserable problem after another. That can't be the only thing. There need to be things that inspire you, that make you glad to wake up in the morning and be part of humanity. Earth is the cradle of humanity, but you cannot stay in the cradle forever. It is time to go forth, become a star-faring civilization, be out there among the stars, expand the scope and scale of human consciousness. I find that incredibly exciting. That makes me glad to be alive. I hope you feel this.
Yeah, that was inspiring. So that was from last year, I think, but a very inspiring speech and 100% true. But again, it reminds me of the Tower of Babylon, the Tower of Babel. What was the reason for building the Tower of Babel? To reach the heavens. So we find ourselves at this in a similar position to where using knowledge, we're reaching the heavens. Very interesting. Love seeing this stuff. More Grok stuff. This will blow you away. The Democrats have filed a lawsuit against the USDA for trying to find out how many illegal aliens are receiving welfare benefits. Are you kidding me? Doge, this literally blew us away. Is this what this is talking about?
Yeah, this is a mind. When we saw these numbers, we were like, what is this? In 21, you see 270,000 people, goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, just this literally blew us away. Like, we went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident. And this isn't political, by the way. My parents are immigrants. Yeah, this country's been great to us. My brother and sister are all born in Spain. I'm pro-legal immigration. This is not political. This is not political. This is about America and the future of America. And there are a lot of good people in the system that pointed this in this direction. I want to honor them right now, that work in the government today, who took risks to show us these numbers and tell us what's going on. Yeah. So I want to stop for a minute. I want to honor those people today. Very good people. Very good people. I have been from D.C. to Social Security offices to the border to track this down, and very good people have helped us along the way. I want to thank them.
Yeah.
This number, what this is when you come in the country, if you're illegal, there's a couple ways to come in. You come in through a port of entry, and you can tell them you're afraid, and they'll give you an asylum case. You'll get an interview, then you get in. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to just go to the border. Literally, this happened. I talked to Border Patrol myself. Elon was there too. I went to Laredo, and I went to Bronzeville. Elon went to Eagle Pass. You walk up to a Border Patrol officer, and you tell them you want to come in. They have a couple of choices. They could charge you with a misdemeanor or a felony under 1325, or they can make it an administrative offense, like a parking ticket, basically. They were told to do that, make it an administrative offense under the last administration. And then you go walk across the border, they do what's called a release on your own recognizance, and they give you an NTA, a notice to appear, which to appear at a judge. The wait times on judges are like average 6 years. Look at Grok, you'll see it on immigration judges, benefit programs. And then what was really, really disturbing us was why. We're asking ourselves why. Right. And so we actually just took a sample and looked at voter registration records. And we found people here registered
to vote. Yep, they're trying to cheat. A large solar-powered AI satellite constellation would be able to prevent global warming by making tiny adjustments in how much solar energy reached Earth. Okay. I don't know if he's joking or not. Probably not. See, the truth isn't on TV, it's on X. Okay. California's congressional districts are already 83% Democratic. Now Gavin Newsom wants to spend $282 million to gerrymander even more seats. California is in decline. We can't keep giving the same failing leaders more power. No on Proposition 50. Okay. Grok learned everything about this farmer's market in a single video. Read what it learned. Interesting. Robots will bring billionaire living to a lot more people. What? Oh boy, that's a lot. I don't want to read that. How long is that video? 7 minutes. Yeah, that's a little too long. We're getting so close to the 3-hour mark. Let's just skip it. Macro hard. That's the opposite of Microsoft. That's a joke against Bill Gates. Instead of Microsoft, he named. So this is the Colossus 2. supercomputer. This is the new facility they're building for AI. The first one was a engineering marvel. They built it in 19 days, and it was like 100,000 GPU cluster. And I saw a video on it. The engineering tasks that they tackled for just energy, location, cooling were unbelievable, unheard of. But now they're building the second one called Colossus 2, and they've named the building Macro Hard. Gotta love that guy. Alrighty. He reminds me of Elijah tormenting false prophets. Morgan Stanley warns Tesla stock needs Elon's pay plan. Yes, go vote for Elon. I told you not too long ago that nobody will remember how tainted games were with woke BS and how every gamer was forced to accept it or be labeled as the most horrible thing, and how devs and others were canceled and forced to live by fear of HR. Now people's memories have already started to shift and people already believe it never happened. Yeah. And that everyone talking about it made it up or exaggerated, predicted, and came to pass, just like people don't really remember how bad COVID authoritarianism was. The mind suppresses the bad stuff. That's true. That's a really good point. The mind suppresses the bad stuff. I'm finding the very similar thing. Legacy media is made and trusted primarily by Democrats. Yeah. Legacy media is a propaganda arm of the left. Yep. Report 5 European charities funneled $2 billion into American left-wing groups. A new Americans for Public Trust report claims 5 foreign charities from the UK, Denmark, and Switzerland channeled nearly $2 billion into... so is this what's funding the Not My President? The sociopathic war first mentality is a direct result of leftist NGOs. Yeah. Switch to Grokpedia. Two most important apps, X and Grok. Man, I have seen a lot of ads. I'm going to have to post. Oh, there's the little thing that says it's an ad. I'm not supposed to see this many ads. Must be the new algorithm. It's a little too far on the ad weights. See, one reason I asked my family to replace their ICE cars with Tesla is that I kept being asked how to repair their cars. With Tesla, it gave me sanity to maintain our family fleet. The toolkit is excellent. Yeah. If you have any inclination for repairing cars, Teslas are like Legos. They come apart really easy and they're very easy to repair. Most people with any mechanical inclination can actually repair a Tesla. And what this is talking about is the software that is used to diagnose and interface with the Teslas. Most car manufacturers make that like a super proprietary software that's super expensive. In this article, he's saying that it's significantly cheaper than other car manufacturers, which that's just the case. Legals are voting. Illegals are receiving benefits. Illegals are changing congressional maps. Yep. Starlink speeds up 50% faster, and V3 hasn't even launched yet. Oh, cool. I think I'm actually going to turn on our Starlink satellite. We already have 2 internets, but you can get Starlink and pause it, and it's like $5 a month, and you still get internet. It's just really slow. From what I understand, is it's fast enough to watch YouTube and post on X. Probably worth $5 a month. Spinoza, you don't need a god to do good. Baruch Spinoza, the 17th century heretic philosopher excommunicated from Judaism for thinking too freely, didn't believe in a personal God who judges us. He didn't believe in heaven, hell, or miracles, and yet Spinoza believed in an absolute morality. Oh, yeah, so this one is... this one's kind of a weird one to get to the context. Yeah, so this is the posts. See, this is the tamest, most obviously thing I have ever posted. I think it follows straightforwardly from atheism that the universe is cold and uncaring and we're just animals like all others. And therefore, there can't possibly be anything like right and wrong, and you genuinely are permitted to do whatever you want, and there will be no final accounting. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that it follows directly from the atheist worldview. And yet almost no atheist admits to it. And then Elon is responding to that. Very wrong. Go read Spinoza, which this is what Spinoza says. Where'd it go? Here. Spinoza says God wasn't some skybound accountant tracking sin. God was nature itself. Deus sive natura. The universe wasn't cold or indifferent, it was divine. In this system, ethics isn't imposed from above, it emerges from understanding. Spinoza argued that the more we comprehend our place in nature, our drives, our limitations, our interdependence, the more we live in accordance with reason and the more virtuous we become. Morality, from Spinoza, is not about obedience, it's about alignment. You don't refrain from cruelty because a divine judge is watching you. You refrain because cruelty fragments your essence, pits you against others, and sabotages your flourishing. Good is what enhances your power to exist and understand. Evil is what diminishes it. This isn't relativism, it's rigor grounded not in commandments, but in metaphysics. It's not a loophole for libertines, it's a call to integrity. One that doesn't need a cosmic punishment to make it stick. And here's the kicker, Spinoza was arguably more atheist than most modern atheists. He denied any anthropomorphic God, rejects the soul immortality, and still arrived at a moral philosophy that's as demanding as any religious system. If that sounds like permission to do whatever you want, you haven't understood Spinoza or atheism or, frankly, ethics. And I would add to this that what most atheists are referring to, and even Spinoza is referring to in the rigor grounded in commandments, is more associated with religion, the fear of heaven and hell, the fear of death and consequences. And I think this is exactly what Jesus came to combat, and showing how to fulfill the law the way it was intended, where all laws and commandments hang on love God and love your neighbor as yourself. Because I do believe that because of sin nature, when left to ourselves, if we have no framework, we tend towards evil. I believe that is just part of the sin nature, and I think it's proven out. But what he is saying here, what Spinoza was arguing, is that the more we understand and the closer we understand, and here he uses nature, I believe that the more he understands the creation, which is understanding God, because the creation is a representation of the Creator. The more you understand creation, the more you lean towards loving God and loving your nature. So, yeah. So just I don't know if that clarifies things for anybody who read this post or read what Elon was referring to, but just so you have the context of that whole thing. Another one of the debates I don't get into is with atheists. If you want to reach the most influential people in the world, then X platform is by far the best. Oh yeah, this is that guy who was reaching out to Trump for help. And he got it so far. All right, 12X OpenAI. Oh, this is really interesting. 12X OpenAI employees call out Sam Altman in a court filing. Harvard law professor Lawrence Lessig just filed an amicus brief on behalf of the 12 former OpenAI employees, and it is brutal. One researcher, Todor Markov, now at Anthropic, which is another company that does AI, stated Altman was a person of low integrity who had directly lied to employees. I'd add that Elon said the same thing about Sam Altman, about non-disparagement agreements, and was likely lying about OpenAI's commitment to his character. The filing claims OpenAI abandoned its nonprofit roots and used its mission as a smokescreen to attract idealistic talent while prioritizing growth and profit. The kicker, these employees stand to lose money if Elon's lawsuit succeeds, and they're speaking up anyway. OpenAI's response: Our nonprofit isn't going anywhere, but with a $300 billion valuation and 20% nonprofit control, that claim is getting harder to sell. Markov's conclusion, I realize the charter has been used as a smokescreen, something to attract and retain idealistic talent while providing no real check on OpenAI's growth. And this is one of the things that Elon Musk has spoken out against. He helped found OpenAI. He's the one who named it because the intent was nonprofit. It was his first attempt at defending against AI. And accidentally, he ended up creating the thing he feared the most, supported by a man who is a blatant liar. He has nothing good to say about Sam Altman. He said it's as if you hired a company to protect a rainforest, and instead of protecting it, they turn around and log it and sell it for profit. That's how he's described Sam Altman. Something along those lines. Yeah. All right. Full self-driving supervised gives people back their freedoms. You guys, my mind is blown. You have given me and many other disabled families a life-changing technology. Yeah, there's a lot of people who enjoy full self-driving who can't otherwise drive very easily. Very cool. How to use Grok like a pro. Grok isn't your typical AI. It's the chaos whisperer born from Elon's XAI lab and plugged straight into your bloodstream of X. Grok's not just smart, it's alive in real time. Okay. No premium, no Grok. Elon's humor costs $16 a month. Once in, the robot becomes your digital co-pilot. Prompt like you mean it. Okay. All right, you get it. This is another one of those Grok posts. Grok is awesome. It's worth it. See, preparation for the Music City loop continues with controlled blast to excavate the TBM launch shaft. Final depth. No idea what that's referring to, but cool. Can upload 4-hour-long videos on X. Good to know. For long podcasts, movies, documentaries, short films, pretty much everything. Grok, okay, more Grok stuff. Elon Musk, very important to appreciate that the debate is not about whether illegals will sway future U.S. elections due to consensus appointments, but just how much. Left-leaning organizations like Pew Research represent the low end of estimates. By the numbers, the Democrats have around 50 fraudulent congressional seats due to illegals. Wow. That's pretty big. Problem is, we have 50 million illegals here. Take 150 years to deport them. By then, they will have multiplied, and those now here will be gone. That's why it's important to focus on the worst, but they need to come up with a solution for those they can't get to, like cutting off all funding, which will cause many to self-deport, and then deal with a structured way to track them and pull their loyalties away from the Dems so they become self-supporting and take away the Dem talking points. Agreed. Yeah. So many things. We got to be, this is within the last couple of posts here. All right, so what is this?
Or, I mean, I almost feel like the term woke AI is insufficient to explain what's going on because it somehow trivializes it. I mean, what we're really talking about is Orwellian AI. You know, we're talking about AI that that lies to you, that distorts an answer, that rewrites history in real time to serve a current political agenda of the people who are in power. I mean, it's very Orwellian. And we were definitely on that path before President Trump's election. It was part of the Biden EO. We saw it happen, you know, in the release of that first Gemini model. That was not an accident. That, you know, that those distorted outputs came from somewhere. To me, this is the biggest risk of AI. Actually, is it was not described by James Cameron. It was described by George Orwell. You know, it's in my view, it's not the Terminator. It's 1984. That you know, that as AI eats the internet and becomes the main way that we interact and get our information online, that it'll be used by the people in power to control the information we receive, that it'll contain an ideological bias, that essentially it'll censor us. All that trust and safety apparatus that was created for social media will be ported over to this new world of AI. And then on top of that, you've got the surveillance issues where, AI is going to know everything about you. It's going to be your kind of personal assistant. And so it's kind of the perfect tool for the government to monitor and control you.
Yep.
And to me, that is by far the biggest risk of AI. And that's the thing we should be working towards preventing. And the problem is a lot of these regulations that are being whipped up by these fear-mongering techniques, they're actually empowering the government to engage in this type of control that I think we should all be very afraid of, actually.
You want to know what's interesting? Is Donald Trump was the force behind Operation Warp Speed, which I fully believe, and I believe it's supported by the data on the seals, is the sword that was handed to the rider on the red horse that was used as a weapon on the whole earth. So not only did he make that sword, I think he's also the force behind the sword that's going to result in the mark of the beast. And that's not to say that he's evil. I'm reminded of Matthew 24, where Jesus said, "These things must happen." So he's basically doing the work of God. He's fast tracking these things to get us closer to the return of Christ. So because he's this might explain why he put Sam Altman in charge or is on the board with the United States initiative for building the artificial intelligence that is going to be used to compete with the world rather than Elon Musk's artificial intelligence. They want one I believe they can weaponize. And it wouldn't surprise me if God doesn't have him doing that on purpose, probably to enforce the mark of the beast. And again, it's the same thing with Operation Warp Speed, as it was built under the best of intentions. So from Donald Trump's perspective, he thought he was building a tool to save people, and yet it was used as a weapon. Again, it seems like he's building a tool to defend America, and it will probably be used as a weapon. And I don't think he'll be empowered to use it. It'll be handed to whoever usurps his authority. What is this? James O'Keefe. Too long, 5 minutes. Watch nonprofit executive caught instructing illegal immigrant to vote in New York City's mayoral election. So this is evidence that they're already trying to rig the Mamdani election. See, this is what sounds like uprooting. This kind of stuff. If they're already working on trying to cheat Mamdani into a position, I could see him the next thing after the mayoral race. Got my eyes on Mamdani. People underestimate the number of illegals who entered the country under the Biden-Harris administration. Very liberal people estimate 3.77 million. Liberals estimate 4.14. Reality is 10. And I'd even argue it's more than that. I agree with Fury that it's probably 50. It's probably 5 times that. For every one we know about, there's 4 we don't know about. Americans want proof of citizenship for voter registration. Proof of citizenship for voter registration. 83% favor, 15% oppose. It's crazy not to require proof of citizenship to vote in any country's elections. That's how you steal elections. Don't require ID. I just filed a formal complaint with the European Ombudsman about a potential conflict of interest involving Mr. Kruger from BMW Group. I'm demanding an investigation into whether I have no idea I don't know what that context is on that. That's an ad. This is the same thing we listened to earlier. Elon's inspiring speech. The moment the knifeman who hurt 11, oh yeah, this happened this weekend. 11 people were stabbed on a train in the UK. More immigrant violence. Yikes. Yeah. Yeah, I can't play that on YouTube. We'll get in trouble. Remarkable milestone. in our young history. Less than 9 months after launching Model Y Premium, we now launched the all-new Model Y Standard. Soon it'll hit European roads. I don't know what this is. Okay, 19 arrests in a short child. Let's see. Another day, another gang of usual suspects arrested for gang raping British children, all bailed. Yikes. All right, and the very last post. Remember to vote tomorrow in New York. Bear in mind that a vote for Curtis is really a vote for Mamdani, or whatever his name is. Vote Cuomo. There you go. Wow, I told you it was going to be a marathon tonight. Mostly because of that Elon interview. We actually went through a lot more of that interview than I thought we'd get through. But I think it was well worth it. There were so many gems in that interview, and I think we got through the ones I really wanted to talk about. All right. Let's do this. You guys have any questions for me before we go? We should probably call it a night since we've been going so long. Let me just do a quick scan here to see if there's anything that you guys really want me to address. Yeah. Good or bad, illegal is illegal, period. Yep. Freebies was the bait. Yeah. Yep. Alrighty, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you coming here and enduring through this 3-hour torment report. Tonight was an unusually long night. It's hard for me to hear all this and not feel fearful. You know, I'm reminded of that myself. You know, where transition and change is scary, but the most exciting thing about all of this is our redemption is near. You know, Adam and Eve caused all of this with whatever it was, whatever the sin was that made it so that we're born dead in trespasses and sin, right? That's all coming to an end. We're within a very, very short timeline compared to how long it took us to get here. And all of the things that are happening, they need to happen for whatever reason. Part of what I'm working on in this next video is I'm trying to do an AI representation of why. And God, I'm telling you, it's really, really interesting when you start to put everything that's happened into a way that you can process it and eliminate the religious fantasy. And it involves some things that are kind of sci-fi, but I think it's probably a better explanation than the fantasy. Anyway, the long story short of it is right now when you die, before Jesus, when you died, that was it. We weren't saved. There was no life after death. There was no eternity. But thanks to Yeshua and thanks to what he did, whatever it is, whether it enables us to get a new body or whatever the end result of it is we have a hope that we haven't had before, that in Christ and what he accomplished, and I think everything that's happening proves that he is who he says he is, right? John 14:29, he told us these things ahead beforehand so that when they begin to occur, you might believe. That's the most exciting thing. Like watching these prophecies come to pass. Yeah, some of the stuff is really scary. I mean, and I can understand. It's interesting, you know, looking at what's happening with AI. If the Tower of Babel had anything to do with what we're seeing today, I can see why God would want to would confuse the language, why he would want to stop them, because there might not have been any way back. And maybe that's why we're seeing these things now, is before we're finally redeemed, we can get, you know, a real life example of what was happening. And that seems to be the case. A lot of what we're seeing seems to be similar cycles that have happened in the past. And the most exciting thing, though, is when we see these things, we only know about them. We only know to look for them. And we only know the scary stuff about them because they were prophesied about. Jesus told us these things beforehand so that when they begin to happen, you may believe. I don't know about you, but my faith is stronger than it's ever been. Seeing these things come to pass and go through what these gentlemen talk about on a daily basis gives me hope, and more comfort than I've ever had. When I started this journey, it was a lot of fear. And I think that's where a lot of false prophets get things wrong, is they're focusing on the wrong thing. They're focusing on the famine, which they're getting wrong about seal number 3. They're focusing about the mark of the beast. You know, you don't want to accidentally take the mark of the beast because you're going to burn in hell and fire. Those things is like, it's really so much simpler than that. In order to be saved, love God. And this is what we learn from the 7 churches in Revelation 2 and 3. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and your neighbor as yourself. You've really got to take that to heart. Who you are, what you believe is who you are. What are your actions? Don't be afraid. Instead, reach out and love someone. You know what I mean? Love somebody you normally wouldn't love. Love your enemies. Forgive those who have wronged you. If somebody hurts you, if somebody slaps you, turn to them the other cheek. If somebody sues you, sues you for your coat, your shirt, give them your cloak also. That's the mentality that we learn from Yeshua, is your time here is fleeting. We're living in an evil world. This stuff doesn't matter, but what's coming is what really matters. He's setting us up for eternity. And that's what is super exciting. And the thing that's just so super exciting about all of this is he told us about these things before they were going to happen. So yeah, they're scary when they're happening. He warned us that they were going to be scary, but these things must take place. They must happen. And I think there's a real physical reason for that. So there's the way that the world has been operating for the last 6,000 years has been under evil and death. And we're transitioning out of all of that system. It's bringing an end to sin. It's anointing the most holy. It's wrapping up the iniquity. We're transitioning to a kingdom of God, so that the kingdoms of this world will become the kingdom of God and his Son. And we're going to be a part of that. So it's not a time to be afraid. It's a time to be super exciting, because it is so very close. I mean, it's so close. I can smell it. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know it's close. Like, we're within a couple of years, 6 years at the max. That's my guess. Probably 3 before we see some real movement. But I could be wrong about that. It could be next year. I mean, who knows? 3-Eye Atlas could be the Messiah spaceship. Anyway, I hope, I pray that you're not afraid. I pray that this stuff brings you gladness, because we knew about it ahead of time. We knew why it was, we may not necessarily know why, but we were warned about it ahead of time so that when it happens, we could believe. This thoroughly reinforces conviction in who Yeshua is. And I think it's going to be the key that finally gets the Jewish people to say, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." And with that, God bless you guys. Shalom, shalom.